Chapter 877. Boss, a small bowl of ramen please, Hua Min said as he walked in. Okay. Hua Min saw Suyu as soon as she walked in. She nodded and greeted him. Then, she sat down at the table next to him. She originally planned to eat with Qin Chu in the morning, but Qin Chu received a call and rushed to the construction site to deal with work. She drove here herself and planned to go to work after eating. However, she didn't expect to see Suyu here so early in the morning, with a girl beside him. Ever since Hua Min came in, Suyu's gaze changed. Hey, it can't be that dramatic, right? Is it her? Su Jiamin asked. Just then, the boss brought their noodles to the table. Suyu pushed a bowl in front of her and said bluntly, "Don't talk, eat your noodles." Su Jiamin pouted and didn't say anything else. The two ate their noodles in silence. Hua Min hadn't been in a good mood lately. Because tomorrow morning, Jixin would fly to Jing City at 3 a.m. and then transfer to New Zealand. This trip was thousands of miles away, and she didn't know when he would come back. While eating, Hua Min was a little absent-minded and looked a little lonely. Although Suyu was focused on eating his noodles, he couldn't help but look up at her. He waited until Hua Min finished a bowl of noodles and left. Suyu couldn't help but walk up to her. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine. You don't look well." "Oh, maybe it's because I've been busy with work," Hua Min said faintly. "Then take care of yourself." "Okay." Hua Min nodded. "Hua Min," he said again. "Yeah. It's my birthday next Friday, and there's going to be a cocktail party at my private mansion at 6 p.m. Can you come?" Suyu hesitated for a long time, but he still wanted to invite Hua Min. He felt that if he could see her on his birthday, he would be very happy. "I'll see." Hua Min didn't directly refuse, but she didn't agree either. She watched the Audi R8 drive away. Only then did Suyu come back to his senses and sit down to eat his noodles. "She's the girl you like, right?" "It's none of your business," Suyu asked impolitely. "Am I curious?" "Shut up and eat your noodles," Suyu said fiercely. Su Jiamin didn't say anything. When the two of them returned to the Su family's villa, it was almost noon. Suyu took her for a walk outside before returning to the mansion. Grandpa Su seemed very enthusiastic. "Jiamin, how's Mayu doing?" "He's an egomaniac. And he has a quick temper. He's always so fierce," Su Jiamin commented sincerely. When the two old men heard this, they laughed out loud at the girl's honesty. "No, he's good. At least he's sincere. I don't like guys who are too fake and hypocritical," the girl added. "Would you be willing to be my granddaughter-in-law?" Master Lord Su was very straightforward. "Grandpa." Suyu didn't seem happy with his grandpa's joke. "Forget it." Master Lord Su. "No, no." "What? You don't like you?" Master Lord Su asked. "No, he's much older than me. I don't want to find someone so old. I like young men. I like an young. This time, the two old men were confused. "When did you have a boyfriend? How come I didn't know?" Grandpa Su asked with a serious face. Suyu helplessly explained for her. "The Yang she's talking about is a celebrity." Only then did the two old men realize. Master Lord Su wanted to matchmake Su Jiamin and Suyu. Although they were 7 or 8 years apart, their family backgrounds were similar. The two old men agreed, but unfortunately, the two children didn't seem to think so. Su Jiamin seemed to have a good impression of Suyu, but when she saw how gentle he was to that girl when they were eating ramen, she gave up. She felt like giving up. Su Jiamin knew very well that it was very tiring to like a man who had someone else in his heart. GK headquarters. When Qin Chu finished his work and returned to the company, it was already 10 in the morning. After the meeting, he was about to go out for lunch when he saw Song Yisher. "You were looking for me?" Qin Chu asked her. "Yeah, do you mind having lunch with me?" Song Yisher smiled and invited him. Her questions were always so tactful. If Qin Chu said that he minded, he would seem too petty. If he didn't mind, he would have to have lunch with her. "Do me the honor of joining us for dinner?" Hua Xiqian invited her. "I'm sorry, but I have plans tonight." "Oh, I see. Okay then, another day." "Okay. Enjoy my treat." Hua Xiqian paid the bill like a gentleman and left the restaurant. After he left, the socialites immediately gossiped. "Is Hua Xiqian pursuing you, Sure? "Yeah." Hua Xiao likes pretty girls. You're so pretty, of course he's interested in you. He even danced with you at your party the other day. I also heard that he hasn't had a girlfriend since he broke up with Mo Shuai. Maybe he wants to pursue you. Sure. You guys are overthinking it. I don't think he's interested in me. Song Yisher smiled. Chapter 879. No way, we can all tell, a socialite said. No way, it's obvious. He wanted to treat you to dinner and dance with you. What man would do that for no reason? Not necessarily. I heard that the Hua Corporation is in the running for a piece of land. Maybe he wants to use me to get my dad's recognition, Song Yisher said slowly as she took a sip of coffee. Hey, you're right. Song Yisher would never think that a man was nice to her because he liked her. Although she thought she was beautiful and charming, it depended on what kind of man he was with. Hua Xiqian was a playboy, but he wasn't infatuated with her. She would rather believe that Hua Xiqian got close to her for a reason. When Hua Min got off work, he went straight back to Sky Blessing Court. Qin Chu called her, but she didn't pick up. When Qin Chu got home, he saw that no one was home and guessed that she was at Sky Blessing Court. So, he drove to Sky Blessing Court. Yang Meirong made a lot of dishes. Because Jixin was leaving tomorrow, everyone was sad to see him leave. This time, Qin Chu was the one who found Jixin's school, tuition, and residence. For Jixin's sake, he did everything himself and picked the most suitable university out of the 10. Brother-in-law, you're here. Is your sister here? Yeah, she just got back. She's in the kitchen with my mom. Michem, Qin Chu walked in, took out 2 cards from his pocket, and handed them to Jixin. One is a SIM card that allows you to make international calls. When you get there, just change the SIM card. The other one is a Union Pay card that can be used all over the world. You can use it when you're overseas. There's 1 million in it. You can use it now, and the finance department will transfer it to you every month. Don't feel burdened. Just spend it however you want. Brother-in-law. I know you're super rich, but you're too stubborn. How can I spend 1 million and transfer it to me every month? No, it's too much. Take it. If you can't spend it all, bring it back to me. Jixin knew Qin Chu. He didn't say much, but he always expressed himself with his actions. Once he gave you something, you had to take it. That was his way of doing things. My sister gave me money, brother-in-law. Your sister gave you money, and this is mine. Take it. There's no harm in having more money. I know you won't flaunt your wealth, so you won't get into trouble. Qin Chu. Thank you, brother-in-law. Jixin carefully put away the 2 cards. Then, she looked at Qin Chu and said, Brother-in-law, I don't know how long it'll be before I come back. It's a long journey, so if there's nothing else, I won't go back and forth. My mom is fine. She often goes out with those aunties, but my sister is a workaholic. She only listens to you, so you have to take good care of her. Also, hurry up and have a baby. I really want to be an uncle, Jixin reminded them. Qin Chu nodded in agreement. Just then, Hua Min walked out of the kitchen and placed a dish on the dining table. He glanced at Qin Chu and asked, President Qin, what did you have for lunch today? Steak. Wow, not bad. Did you have red wine? No. Wait, you had steak and a beautiful woman. Why didn't you have red wine? Hua Min said sourly. He thought that she was jealous because she overheard Song Yisher's conversation on WeChat. Then he said, Honey, let's talk about private things at home. Don't talk about it here. This is my home too. Why can't we talk about it? Also, I'm not going back tonight. I want to stay here. Okay, I'll stay here too. Why should you stay here? This is my home. Sis' brother-in-law bought this house. Jixin reminded her. Shut up. Are you my brother or his brother? Hua Min deliberately scolded Jixin. Jixin, honey, you're right. Everything you say is right. Qin Chu's attitude was good. Don't give me that. Are you trying to bluff your way out of this? Nope. Anyway, I'm not going back. Jixin's leaving tomorrow, so I'll move back here for a while. You can reflect on yourself. Honey, stop it. Qin Chu's heart couldn't take it anymore when he heard that Hua Min was moving back to her parents' home. I'm not, Hua Min replied angrily. I just promised Jixin that we'll have a baby. If you move away, how am I going to fulfill his wish? Qin Chu smirked. Chapter 880. So you married me because you wanted a baby? Hua Min asked, pretending to be angry. Before Qin Chu could say anything, Jixin spoke up for his brother-in-law. Sis, you're so unreasonable. Brother-in-law is already like that, and you're still trying to be unreasonable. Don't say anything, let him speak. Hua Min looked at Qin Chu fiercely. Honey. Qin Chu looked like he had been wronged. The more he said, the more mistakes he would make. What if he really got into trouble and they separated? Just then Yang Meirong walked out. Dinner's ready. Thank you for your hard work, Auntie. Qin Chu respected Yang Meirong very much. Even though she had a bad temper and was prejudiced against him, Qin Chu still wanted to thank her for raising Hua Min for more than 20 years. It's nothing. Don't be so polite with me. Hurry up and eat. Yang Meirong brought out the dishes one by one, and the four of them sat around the table. It's all thanks to Qin Chu that Jixin went abroad this time. Auntie, it's my duty. What's your duty? No one should do anything for anyone. Even if we're family, we have to be considerate. The house we live in is all thanks to you. I only have 2 wishes for the rest of my life. One is for Mion to be happy, and the other is for Jixin to live a carefree life. As long as you guys live well, I won't have to worry about you, Yang Meirong said as she ate. Don't worry, Mom. We're not kids anymore. Hua Min smiled. Jixin, be a good boy when you're there. Don't get into trouble. Mom, I don't get into trouble in China. Don't worry. If something happens, I'll call brother-in-law. Qin Chu nodded. Hua Min looked at Jixin and realized that Jixin really liked Qin Chu. It was no wonder. Other than Hua Min, Qin Chu treated Jixin the best. He had already mentioned changing cars twice. Luckily, Hua Min stopped him. Otherwise, Jixin would probably be driving a Porsche by now. After dinner, Hua Min dilly-dallied and refused to leave. Qin Chu was not in a hurry. He drank tea in the living room and waited for her. In the end, Yang Meirong couldn't take it anymore. Hurry up and leave. Look at the time. Your brother's flight is at 3 o'clock. Qin Chu already arranged for a driver to send him. What are you still doing here? Mom. I'll stay a little longer. What are you waiting for? Both of you have to go to work tomorrow. Go home and sleep. Your brother is going to school, not to suffer. Before Hua Min could say anything, Yang Meirong pushed and shoved Hua Min out. Then she quietly got into the car with Qin Chu. After getting into the car, Hua Min's face was still gloomy. She was in a bad mood. Honey, don't be sad. Seeing Hua Min's gloomy face, Qin Chu's heart ached. Hua Min was no longer mad at Qin Chu. After all, Hua Min didn't care about Song Yishe at all. She leaned into Qin Chu's arms and said in a small voice, Honey, I still don't want to leave Jixin. What should I do? Hua Min was already used to being an older sister. Over the years, she would rather live frugally to take care of her brother. Occasionally chatting with Jixin on WeChat and eating had become a part of her life. She never thought that one day, he would leave the city and go to a place so far away. Therefore, she still couldn't accept it. Just like how she couldn't accept Huang Yu's death. Life is a process of constant parting and reunions. No one is immune. Everyone is the same. Qin Chu gently hugged Hua Min and comforted her softly. I know, I'm just a little sad. In the end, Hua Min cried in his arms for a while before the two reluctantly drove away. Hua Min didn't sleep much that night. She tossed and turned, thinking about Jixin the entire time. At 3 in the morning, she got up and looked at the time on her phone. Then, she went downstairs to get some water. She looked at the dark sky outside the window and thought about how her brother was already on a plane to New Zealand, across the ocean. Jixin, I hope you'll be all grown up when you come back, Hua Min murmured quietly. 3 days later, Hua Min went to the second board meeting of the Hua Corporation during his break. Shen Jiani looked at the transfer records and saw that 400 million yuan had been transferred to the corporation's account. All of the board members seemed to be relieved. Then, to no one's surprise, Hua Si resigned. As a father, Hua Zhenghai apologized to the board members for not teaching his son well and put on a good show. After the board meeting ended, Hua Xiqian stopped Hua Min. What? Aren't you curious about what I'm going to do next? That's your problem. What does it have to do with me? Hua Min never thought that he was on the same side as Hua Xiqian. Chapter 881. No, it has something to do with you. Come back tonight, and I'll show you the best show ever. Tonight? Hua Min was a bit surprised. Wasn't this too soon? You're making a move tonight? Hua Min asked uncertainly. Yeah, that's the only way to catch them off guard. Hua Xiqian smiled. Shen Jiani barely managed to block the 400 million yuan, and Hua Xiqian was going to attack again. He was indeed aggressive. This time, you'll make sure that they can't turn the tables. With Hua Min's understanding of Hua Xiqian, he knew that Hua Xiqian had already done enough foreplay. If he made a move now, it would be fatal. As expected, he dotingly flicked Hua Min's forehead. He didn't use much strength. You're the smartest, you have to come back to witness such an exciting moment? Or else, all my planning will be in vain. My mom will be back tonight at 6:30 p.m., and the whole family will be there. You have to come. After speaking, Hua Xiqian put his hands in his pockets and left. Hua Min looked at him with a complicated expression. Hua Xiqian was usually smiling and seemed easy to get along with. But in reality, Hua Min thought that Hua Xiqian was too smart and didn't care about anyone. He was full of tricks. Unfortunately, she didn't see the person in his heart. If she knew now, she would probably, Mian. Just as Hua Min was about to leave the company, Hua Zhanghai suddenly called out from behind. Hua Min turned around and saw that he was alone. Shin Jiani wasn't with him. What's up? You should rest today. Have some tea with Dad. I haven't talked to you alone in a while. I don't think we have anything to talk about. Hua Min's attitude wasn't friendly. Hua Zhanghai didn't get angry. Instead, he smiled and said, Don't be so distant. Although the Hua family isn't as powerful as the Qin family, we'll still help them if they're in trouble. After all, we're in-laws now. Hua Zhanghai always brought up the marriage between the Qin and Hua families, which really annoyed Hua Mian. Hua Min wanted to refuse, but Hua Zhanghai continued, How's your mom doing? I went to the old house to visit her, but it was empty. Did she move away? Yeah. Isn't there going to be a demolition? I bought her a new house. Really? Where is the new house? You don't need to know about this. My mother. She doesn't seem to want to see you. Hua Min said straightforwardly. Hua Zhanghai smiled awkwardly. She still hates me, I know. I already said that I would slowly make it up to you and your mother. Oh right, I heard that your brother went abroad? Yes. Is there anything I can help you with? I have quite a few friends in Australia. No, thank you for your kindness. Are you sure you don't want to have tea with me? Hua Zhanghai asked again. Mr. Hua, I don't like to beat around the bush. If you have something to say, just say it. There's no need to drink tea or eat. Just get to the point. We're all busy. You. Okay, if that's the case, then I'll get straight to the point. Yan Yan is going on a blind date tomorrow with a famous person in our city. They're hosting a banquet at the Hilton Hotel. Can you and Qin Chu come as well? Hua Min immediately understood. She knew that Hua Zhanghai wouldn't ask her out for tea for no reason. So it was because Hua Yan was going on a blind date, and he wanted her and Qin Chu to go. After all, the president of GK was too eye-catching. Oh, what a coincidence, Mr. Hua. We're not free tomorrow. It's just a short lunch break. Just say hi when you guys come. Hua Zhanghai tried to negotiate with Hua Min. Hua Yan and I aren't that close. I think it's enough if you can convince Hua Xiqian to come. After speaking, Hua Min got into his car and left. He didn't want to waste any more time talking to Hua Zhanghai. It was rare for him to have a day off, so Hua Min immediately drove to find Zhu Lingling. The two of them sat in a private room in Hua Min's new coffee shop. They chatted casually. Girl, is there still no news in your stomach? Zhu Lingling quietly asked. Chapter 882. Hua Min's hand paused in the middle of stirring the coffee. Then she shook her head. Well, I heard from my mom that there's an old Chinese medicine doctor on an old street near my house. He seems to be quite good. There were a few young couples who went to see him, and then they really had a baby. I think Chinese medicine won't hurt people anyway. Wouldn't it be better if they got better? Anyway, my mom said that he's quite amazing. Since you're free today, do you want to go see him? If it was every other time, Hua Min would have rejected her outright. However, this time she only said one word, okay? Then, Hua Min drove Zhu Lingling to the street where she lived. It was an old industrial area. Since Zhu Lingling grew up here, she was used to living here and was too lazy to move to the city center. Finally, she led Hua Min to a small courtyard in an alley. As soon as they entered, a big stupid dog barked. "What are you doing here?" An old lady with an unknown accent came out of the courtyard. "Hello, we're looking for Mr. Wang." Zhu Lingling vaguely remembered that the family's surname was Wang. "Oh, are you here to see a doctor?" "Yes." Hua Min nodded. "Come in, it's 20 yuan for registration," the old lady said as she reached out her hand. Before Hua Min could open her bag, Zhu Lingling immediately took out 20 yuan from her pocket and handed it over. Then the old lady led them all the way inside until they came to a small house. An old man in his 80s was sitting there with a pair of reading glasses and arranging herbs. There was a strong smell of Chinese medicine in the house. "Old man, we have a patient." "Oh, got it." The old man wasn't deaf at all. After hearing that, he stopped what he was doing. He turned around and walked over with slow steps. "Which one of you wants to see a doctor?" "Me," Hua Min replied. "What do you want to see?" The old man asked seriously. I just want to check your pulse to see if you have any diseases." Zhu Lingling didn't want Hua Min to say it himself. After all, she couldn't say that she was infertile. It would be awkward. The old man nodded and gestured for Hua Min to sit on the chair. Then he placed a wrist pad under Hua Min's right wrist and began to take his pulse. The technique looked quite professional. In fact, Hua Min did not believe in Chinese medicine because he studied Western medicine. It was just that there were very few traditional Chinese medicine practitioners nowadays. Most of those who graduated from medical school only knew a little about it. Then, they pretended to be godly doctors and randomly prescribed medicine. It was true that Chinese medicine couldn't kill people, but if it didn't treat the illness, it couldn't be cured. If it wasn't for Zhu Lingling, she really didn't plan to see a traditional Chinese medicine doctor. Her mother had mentioned it before, but she didn't respond. "Doctor, how is it? What's wrong with my friend?" Zhu Lingling asked anxiously. The old man slowly retracted his hand and glanced at Hua Min. "She's lacking in both blood and qi. She's suffering from cold and dampness. Her womb is cold. She has a cold constitution. She probably has menstrual cramps, right?" "Yes." Hua Min nodded obediently. "Take care of your body. Otherwise, it won't be easy for you to have a baby in the future," the old man sighed. Hua Min and Zhu Lingling looked at each other. "Does she need to take some medicine?" Zhu Lingling asked. "If you trust me, I'll get some for you. If you don't, you can go to the pharmacy and buy some medicine to warm up the womb. It's best if you take it for 3 months," the old man advised. "Then I'll get some from you." Hua Min felt that the old man was right. From a Western medicine perspective, he knew that he had a cold womb. Then, he got more than 200 yuan worth of Chinese medicine from the old man. As soon as Hua Min got home, she started boiling Chinese medicine in a jar. The entire kitchen was filled with the smell of Chinese medicine. He had to take 1 packet of medicine 3 times a day. The smell was very strong and unpleasant. Most of the medicine was made from famous Chinese herbs. Anyone who had eaten Chinese herbs before knew how sour it was. After Hua Min drank it all in 1 gulp for the first time, her stomach churned. Then, she couldn't help but rush to the bathroom to vomit. When Qin Chu came back, Hua Min was still vomiting. She forced herself to drink it, but she couldn't help but vomit. Her entire mouth was filled with the weird taste of Chinese herbs. "Honey, what's wrong?" Qin Chu frowned slightly. Chapter 883. "I'm fine." Hua Min waved her hand. After brushing her teeth, she came out of the bathroom. Then she slumped onto the sofa. "Did you make Chinese medicine?" Qin Chu's nose went numb. "Yeah." Hua Min didn't try to hide it and nodded. "What's wrong? Are you not feeling well?" Qin Chu touched Hua Min's head and realized that she wasn't feeling hot. "I went to see a Chinese doctor today. They said that I have a cold uterus. It's not easy to get pregnant with a body like this, so I wanted to get some Chinese medicine first," Hua Min said nonchalantly. "You can use dates and brown sugar as a treatment. Why did you have to drink Chinese medicine?" "Those are too slow. I want to get better quickly," Hua Min said stubbornly. Qin Chu hugged her lovingly. Honey, you don't have to be like this really. Even if we don't have a baby, I won't blame you. This is good enough. But I'll feel uneasy. I want a baby. Hua Min looked lonely. Just then, a timer beeped from the kitchen. Hua Min went to the kitchen to get the second bowl of Chinese medicine. Then, Qin Chu looked at her and drank the bowl of black medicine in one gulp without even frowning. Then, Hua Min covered her mouth to stop herself from vomiting. Seeing how stubborn Hua Min was, Qin Chu's heart ached. However, he knew Hua Min's temper. Once she decided on something, she would do it until the end. So he didn't stop her. Instead, he took out a peach from the fridge, cut it into pieces, and handed it to her. Eat something to suppress it. You'll feel better. Hua Min took a small piece and put it in her mouth. Then she smiled and said, Honey, you're home early today. My dad's home. He wants us to go back for dinner tonight. Tonight? Yeah, why? What's the matter? Yeah. Hua Xiqian told me to go back tonight during the meeting this morning. I'm guessing that the Huas are going to do something big tonight. Then I'll accompany you to the Hua family. Qin Chu had never been worried about the relationship between Hua Min and Hua Xiqian, so he immediately said that he wanted to accompany her. What about your father? Hua Min felt that something was not right. It doesn't matter. We can go tomorrow, Qin Chu said slowly. Hua Min nodded. Qin family mansion. She thought that Qin Chu and Hua Min would come back for dinner, so the maid prepared a dozen dishes. However, Qin Chu suddenly called and said that he wouldn't come back. Qin Yuman turned to the maid and said, The food is ready now. You don't have to wait. Chu is not coming back? Lady Qin was immediately displeased. Yeah, they have something to do. What is it? Don't they have time to come home for dinner? Lady Qin asked in annoyance. Qin Yuman didn't let Song Yisher come over because he thought that they were coming back. He didn't want his daughter-in-law to think too much. Unfortunately, they weren't back yet. Chu said that the Hua family has something to deal with tonight, so they went back. What? They'd rather go back to the Hua family than come to our house? It must be Hua Min's idea. Everyone says that I hate her. Did you see that? She's purposely going against me. Lady Qin suddenly lost her cool. They went back to the Hua family for something. Why are you getting so worked up? Qin Yuman didn't like his wife's attitude. He, Qin Chu, and Hua Min all thought that Lady Qin was going through menopause. Why would they go back to the Hua family for something? They're such a twisted family. What year is it now? How can they still live in the same house? They're a joke in our world. Hua Zhenghai, that shameless old man, is still as indecent as ever. Okay, let's eat. Mind your own business. Qin Yuman was impatient. He ignored his wife and walked straight to the dining table. On the other side, Hua Min and Qin Chu drove their Maybach to the Hua family's house at just the right time. 6:30 p.m. Hua Zhenghai was pleasantly surprised to see Qin Chu and Hua Min. Why didn't you call in advance? I wanted to ask the kitchen to add more food, Hua Zhenghai said happily. It's okay, we'll be leaving soon. Hua Min's tone was very indifferent. However, he still had to be polite. Qin Chu also bought Hua Zhenghai a lot of high-end gifts. When they arrived, the Hua family was already there. Jiang Hong, who hadn't seen Hua Min in a long time, was also very enthusiastic. I haven't seen you in a while. Mian is becoming more and more elegant. Jiang Hong smiled. You're too kind, Mrs. Hua. Hua Min was indifferent to them. I knew my little sister Mian was always punctual. You said 6:30 p.m. Not a second later. Hua Xiqian walked down the stairs. Qin Chu didn't like the way Hua Xiqian kept calling her little sister Mian. Chapter 884. You asked Mian out? Hua Zhenghai was a bit surprised. Yeah. My mom is coming back today. Is it a family dinner? It's rare for everyone to get together. Then, everyone sat down. Hua Si lowered his head and didn't dare to speak. He had been at home for the past few days and didn't dare to leave. After he resigned, Hua Zhenghai cut off his financial support and made him reflect on his mistakes at home. When Mian sent him WeChat messages, he had to reply in secret. He had no freedom at all. President Qin, is this your first time here? Hua Yanyan was very enthusiastic and took the initiative to talk to Qin Chu. Yes, Qin Chu's reply was cold. You look much better than on TV. I heard that GK Film and Television is doing very well, Hua Yanyan continued to ask. Qin Chu didn't know how to answer, because her words were completely irrelevant. Hua Min, on the other hand, smiled and replied, Thank you for your concern. GK Film and Television has always been doing well. Hua Yanyan ignored Hua Min and continued to stare at Qin Chu with infatuation. Can I go visit the company when I have time? I really like Annie Liang's temperament and acting skills. The artists aren't at the company, they're all out of town for work or filming. Qin Chu politely refused. I see. Then can you get me an autograph or something? Hua Yanyan continued to ask shamelessly. Ahem. Have you ever seen the boss of a company ask his employees for autographs? Hua Min looked at Hua Yanyan, amused. That's right, Yanyan, that's too cheap. Don't think about those messy things. Shen Jiani tried to persuade her. Mian, I heard that you're a doctor now. Zhang Hong was very well informed. Yes. Si Qian has always been the one to do the Hua Foundation's accounts. There's not a single mistake. Not a single cent is missing. You're great. Thank you, Mrs. Hua. I'm just doing my job. In the face of Zhang Hong's praise, Hua Min wasn't happy at all, because these were all tricks. Who would take it seriously? Qin Chu. The thing I told you last time, the land? It hasn't been officially launched yet, but it has already become a major project for next year. There will only be news about it after the Spring Festival, Qin Chu said. Oh, okay. Just don't forget what I told you. Hua Zhanghai didn't forget to ask for a share of the loot. He was shameless to the extreme. Have you been married for a long time? Is there any news in Mian's belly? Shen Jiani asked with a smile. Hua Min felt that she was asking on purpose to embarrass him. Before Hua Min could say anything, Qin Chu said, Mian is still young, we're not in a hurry. We're going to wait. Oh, I see. Shen Jiani nodded her head, as if she had a deeper meaning. Under the dining table, Hua Min reached out his hand and tightly held onto Qin Chu's. It was so good to have him by her side. He took on all the problems for her and was always the first one to protect her. Mian is indeed still young. There's no need to be in such a hurry to have a child. What if Mian doesn't like my brother-in-law anymore? It'll be easier if you don't have a child, and the divorce won't be so troublesome since it involves child custody. After Hua Xiqian said this, everyone was shocked. Then they heard him continue, I'm just kidding. They're so loving. How could something like that happen? Qin Chu looked at Hua Xiqian, the corner of his mouth raised, and said provocatively, Even if it's a joke, it's best not to. Hua Min is my bottom line. I won't accept any jokes about her. Okay, I was wrong. President Qin, don't be so agitated. Hua Xiqian was still smiling, as if nothing had happened. Zhang Hong tried to smooth things over. Don't mind him, Xiqian likes to joke. Just then, Hua Xiqian took out a tablet from somewhere and said, I saw someone on the forum recently post that was really funny. Do you guys want to hear it? After he said this, no one said anything, not knowing how to respond. Hua Xiqian said again, I'll read it to you guys. This story is really interesting. I promise you guys will like it. Seeing his excited expression, Hua Min knew that the show he had prepared was about to begin. Chapter 885. Hua Zhenghai, Shen Jiani, Hua Si, Hua Yanyan, Zhang Hong, Hua Min, Qin Chu. These 7 people were all watching Hua Xiqian put on a one-man show. Other than Hua Zhenghai's group of 4, everyone else seemed to know what was going to happen. Hua Min thought that Hua Xiqian must have something on her that he could use against her. Shen Jiani's side would have no way to turn the situation around. This was Hua Xiqian's style. He loved to hit people when they were down. It was the best time for him to make a move when Shen Jiani had not recovered from the 400 million she had taken out. Hua Xiqian slowly read. It says that a small-time actress hooked up with a rich man. Unfortunately, the rich man already had a wife, so she became his mistress. In order to become his wife, she gave birth to a child and finally became a rich man. Upon hearing this, Shen Jiani's expression changed slightly. She seemed to have realized that Hua Xiqian was insinuating something. What's there to be curious about? Isn't it normal to be a mistress these days? It means that the woman is capable. Otherwise, why would the man like her? This is a survival of the fittest society. If you lose, you can't blame the mistress. Otherwise, There wouldn't be mistresses and mistresses, Hua Yanyan said. She was obviously trying to clear her mother's name, but she didn't do it well. Hua Min didn't want to argue with her, so she quietly watched the show unfold. Hua Xiqin smiled again and continued reading. The rich man dotes on the mistress and her child very much. He grants them whatever they ask for. But the funny thing is, the rich man doesn't know that the child the mistress gave birth to isn't even his. It's the child of the mistress and the man she used to love. What the rich man doesn't know is that the mistress has been cheating on him with that man all these years. She's been cheating on him. Hua Min realized something after hearing this. She looked at Shen Jiani in surprise. She had a man? And the child wasn't Hua Zhenghai's? Wasn't this too melodramatic? Shen Jiani's face slowly turned pale. Her eyes were filled with fear. In the end, Hua Xiqin smiled and asked Shen Jiani, Auntie Shen, do you think this story is interesting enough? Hua Xiqin, what do you mean? Why are you insinuating about my mother? Hua Yanyan couldn't hold it in anymore. Hua Xiqin continued to smile. I'm not insinuating anything. Why do you have to take my words to heart? Zhang Hong seemed to know the inside story. She didn't say anything and just drank her tea quietly. Even if you're making things up, you should have a bottom line, right? Are you suspecting that I'm not Dad's daughter? What a joke. Hua Yanyan didn't think it was possible. When she was sick, her blood had been tested and found to be of the same blood type as Hua Zhenghai's. At that time, she even said that if her father ever got sick, she could donate blood or something. Therefore, she was almost certain that Hua Xiqin was lying. It was all nonsense. That was why she was yelling so loudly. Don't look for it. The post isn't talking about you, it's about the son of the mistress. After speaking, Hua Xiqin looked at Hua Si meaningfully. Hua Zhenghai wasn't stupid. He understood what Hua Xiqin was trying to say. Then he asked, Xiqin, don't read these messy posts. They're not suitable for you. Most of them are just slanderous posts. That's true. But Dad, I found an interesting secret. What secret? Hua Zhenghai was surprised. Hua Xiqin took out his phone, opened a short video, and handed it to Hua Zhenghai. Hua Zhenghai was shocked after watching it. Where did you get this? He didn't feel good. A friend from a news agency accidentally took a picture of it and sent it to me. I bought it for 3 million yuan, or else it would have been exposed. What kind of video costs 3 million yuan? Zhang Hong purposely asked with a smile. Hua Min and Qin Chu looked at each other, as if they understood each other. Sure enough, Hua Zhenghai slammed his phone in front of Shen Jiani and yelled, Watch this carefully. After Shen Jiani saw the video, her expression changed drastically. Chapter 886. She was scared out of her wits. It was a video of her meeting with her ex-lover at the end of last month while Hua Zhenghai was away for a meeting in Beijing. Although it wasn't very clear, it was still a video of them kissing in the apartment. Videos weren't photoshopped. You could say that the photo was photoshopped, but the video couldn't be photoshopped. Shen Jiani was so scared that she immediately fell to her knees. Master, I was wrong. I was confused. With a loud slap, Hua Zhenghai slapped Shen Jiani across the face. She stumbled backwards from the slap. Mom, Hua Si and Hua Yanyan both panicked and wanted to help her up. Don't touch her. Hua Zhenghai roared, scaring Hua Yanyan and Hua Si so much that they didn't dare to move. Mom, what's going on? What video is this? Hua Yanyan was also panicking. Nothing. It's just a video of your mom having an affair with a random man while your dad was away in Beijing, Zhang Hong said mockingly. Hua Yanyan and Hua Si were both dumbfounded. Hua Zhenghai's face was beyond ugly. Shen Jiani. Shen Jiani. I never would have thought that you would betray me. Haha, that's great. You sure have guts. How dare you? Haven't I been good to you all these years? How dare you? Hua Zhenghai was not only furious at Shen Jiani's betrayal, but his heart also turned cold. Although he was selfish, he still loved Shen Jiani. Although he occasionally flirted with other girls, he protected Shen Jiani well. However, he was very protective of Shen Jiani and her children. He gave her a lot of money and invested a lot of love. He always thought that Shen Jiani loved him deeply, but he never thought that she would cheat on him one day. Tell me, who is that man? Hua Zhenghai asked coldly. Master, I was wrong. Please forgive me this time. I won't do it again. I won't see him again. Can you believe me? Shen Jiani crawled over, but Hua Zhenghai kicked her away. Don't touch me, you asshole. Hua Zhenghai cursed. Hua Xiqian said slowly, Dad. I got someone to look into this man. His name is Zhu Xiao. He's the owner of a restaurant and has his own family. I heard that he used to be Auntie Shen's classmate in middle school. They even dated. Oh no, they've been dating all these years. I got someone to look into it and found out that he never broke up with Auntie Shen. Actually, they did a good job keeping it a secret, but the paparazzi's equipment is more advanced. Oh, well, junior high school classmate. First love. Shen Jiani, how dare you? I've been feeding you and supporting you all these years, but you've been cheating on me. Do you feel sorry for me? Hua Zhenghai clutched his chest as if he was furious. No, he's not telling the truth. We haven't contacted each other in years. I got drunk during a class reunion. I'm sorry. I promise I won't do it again. Master. Zhenghai. I still love you, please believe me. Their affair was suddenly exposed. Even someone as smart as Shen Jiani panicked. Therefore, she started crying and begging for mercy, no longer able to keep her cool. Hua Min felt sad for this woman as he watched her kneel on the ground and hug Hua Zhenghai's leg. She was willing to throw away her dignity just to keep her status as a wealthy family. Dad? I'm sure Mom has her reasons. Hua Si felt bad for his mother and wanted to explain. However, Hua Zhenghai kicked him to the ground. Get out of my way. Oh, right. Si. I don't think you can call me Dad anymore. I took your hair for a test a few days ago and found that your DNA is completely different from Dad's. So, I'm guessing, you might be Zhu Xiao's son. Of course. He's your mom's only lover. After Hua Xiqian said this, everyone was shocked again. Chapter 887. You're slandering me. Hua Si pointed at Hua Xiqian and yelled. Hua Zhenghai looked at Hua Xiqian in shock. What did you say? Dad. I'm sorry. Even though the results are a bit cruel, I still have to tell you that C isn't your son. Here's a comparison report. You can take a look. Of course, if you don't believe me, you can find someone to test it for you. But there's good news. Yan Yan is indeed your daughter. When Hua Zhenghai took the report from Hua Xiqian, he felt as if he had been struck by lightning. All these years, he had never suspected that Hua Si wasn't his son. That was why he never did a DNA test, because he thought it was an insult to Shen Jiani. He didn't think that this small mistake would lead to such a big disaster. Shen Jiani was so scared that she didn't dare to speak. She never thought that her lie would be exposed one day. Back then, she was only pregnant because she had an affair. She was so scared that she didn't know what to do and wanted to abort the child. However, she was in a hurry to give birth to a son for the Hua family, so she took the risk to give birth to the child. After all, Hua Yanyan didn't look like Hua Zhenghai. No one would suspect her, but who would have thought that Hua Xiqian would investigate her? Shen Jiani. Hua Zhenghai ran up to her like a madman and choked her with both hands. He choked her so hard that it seemed like he was going to strangle her to death. Hua Yanyan rushed up to save her mother, but she was bounced away and slammed into the wall. Dad, don't be rash. What's done is done. Killing her won't change anything. Hua Xiqian tried to calm him down. Just as Shen Jiani thought she was going to die, Hua Zhenghai suddenly let go of her. Let's call it a day. Mian, you and Qin Chu can go home first. I have some family matters to take care of. Okay, we'll be leaving now. Qin Chu and Hua Min stood up awkwardly. As soon as they left, Hua Zhenghai dragged Shen Jiani upstairs and locked her in her room, beating her up. Screams echoed throughout the house. Hua Yanyan and Hua Si were crying. They didn't know what they could do. It's all your fault. Why are you so bad? Hua Xiqian tried to hit Hua Xiqian. However, he was thrown to the ground by Chu Yang's grappling hand. He was battered and exhausted. After beating up Shen Jiani, Hua Zhenghai walked downstairs. No one is allowed to leave this house. I want to investigate this thoroughly. After Hua Zhenghai calmed down, he decided to look into it again. If what Hua Xiqian said was true and Hua Si wasn't her biological son, then she would have to make a new will. Okay, Dad, we'll wait for you to find out. Hua Xiqian crossed his arms and sat on the sofa with a smile. I really pity you. You raised someone else's son for more than 20 years. Zhang Hong said mockingly. Shut up, all of you. After saying this, Hua Zhenghai clutched his chest. Then, he blacked out and fell to the ground. After Hua Min and Qin Chu left the Hua mansion, they went straight back to South Hill Manor. It was early winter, and the temperature was very low. The two of them held hands and sat by the fountain in front of the door. Honey, was the show at the Hua family good? What do you think? It was pretty good. Hua Zhanghai has done too many bad things, so this is karma. But Hua Xiqian is pretty ruthless. He should have known about this a long time ago, but he set Shen Jiani up and made her cough up 400 million yuan. Then, he stepped on her when she was down. I think Shen Jiani and the other two, regardless of whether Hua Yanyan is her biological son or not, will never be able to turn things around. Hua Zhanghai will completely vent his anger on them. Yeah, that's Hua Xiqian's way of doing things. He's always been ruthless. Qin Chu never had a high opinion of him. Alright, honey, I have something to ask you. What is it? It's Su Yu's birthday next Friday. He invited me. Do you think I should go? Hua Min didn't want to hide anything from Qin Chu, so he asked for his opinion in advance. What about you? Do you want to go or not? Qin Chu asked gently. Chapter 888. Tell me the truth? Yeah. Qin Chu nodded. I don't want to go, because Su Yu and I aren't close enough to celebrate each other's birthdays. I don't know why he invited me, but even if I don't want to go, I still have to go. It's because he gave me something on my birthday, and I want to return it to him. What is it? Qin Chu was slightly surprised. Hua Min never mentioned it to him. Maybe because he didn't want Qin Chu to get jealous. Hua Min took out a bullet shell from her purse. This is it? Qin Chu carefully picked up the bullet shell and looked at it. There was nothing special about it. Yeah, he stopped my car on the way here and gave me this. He said it was a wish for me, and that if I ever needed his help, he would definitely help me. Then he really put in a lot of effort. Qin Chu said with a hint of jealousy. Hua Min leaned on Qin Chu's shoulder with a smile. Hey, is Mr. Qin jealous? Would you believe me if I said no? Nope. So be it. Qin Chu lovingly patted her head. Actually, I know that this is pretty expensive, and I've been looking for a chance to return it to him. Since it's his birthday, I'll come back right after I give it to him. That way, I'll be able to fulfill my wish. Sounds good, but there's something you need to pay attention to, Qin Chu gently reminded her. What is it? Hua Min looked at Qin Chu in confusion. Su Yu is a famous person in the city, and there'll be a lot of media coverage on his birthday. Don't let anyone catch on to you. I'm afraid that someone will use this opportunity to create hype. Plus, my dad cares about his reputation a lot. If our personal matters affect the company, he might have a biased opinion of you. Qin Chu spoke very seriously. Without being pretentious or pretentious, Qin Yuman's attitude towards Hua Min was much better now, and he had already accepted it. If there was any negative news because of this, his grandfather would be estranged. He could ignore his mother's opinion, but he still had to consider his grandfather's opinion. After all, Qin Chu still respected his father very much. Hua Min completely understood what he meant. They could go to his birthday party. It didn't matter if they had a meal together. But don't let the media get hold of any information that can be used against you. If they magnify it, it won't be good for your image. After all, everyone was a public figure now, especially since GK Film and Television and Imperial Star were competitors. I understand. Hua Min nodded. The next morning, as soon as Hua Min arrived at the hospital, she received a call from her sister Yingzi, saying that Ni Yang was throwing a tantrum and wanted her to take a look. Hua Min was wearing a white lab coat and black-rimmed glasses. When she went up to the top floor, Ni Yang had already changed into casual clothes and was about to go out. Where are you going dressed like this? Sister Hua Min, you're just in time. I've been bored to death for the past few days. I want to go out for a walk. No. Hua Min stopped him. Hua Min, even you don't understand me. Ni Yang was a bit surprised. It's not that I don't understand you, I have to be responsible for you. So, are you going to tell me? What's wrong with me? Or else I'll leave the hospital right now. I don't want to live here anymore. I'm going crazy, I don't like doctors, I want to go home. Ni Yang threatened. Sister Yingzi looked conflicted. Hua Min also remained silent. What? Are you guys still going to hide it from me? Tell me, even if it's cancer, I'm not afraid. I've lived long enough. Hurry up and tell me, don't hide it from me like I'm a child. I want to know about the surgery anyway. Unless one of you can sign it for me. Yang felt like something was wrong these past few days. He felt like the medical staff was too careful with him. Sister Ingzi wasn't in a good mood either. And Huamin even checked on him 3 times a day. Who would believe that he just had indigestion? Chapter 889. Change out of your clothes and I'll tell you, Huamin said calmly. A young lady. Sister Ingzi seemed worried. It's okay, Sister Ingzi, I'll talk to him. You can leave first. Huamin nodded at Sister Ingzi. Yang was more obedient. He went to the bathroom to change out of his casual clothes, put on a hospital gown, and sat down. Tell me, what's wrong with you? Don't lie to me. To put it bluntly, your liver is failing, and you need a small liver transplant. A liver transplant? Is it liver cancer? Yang looked up calmly. It's not liver cancer, it's a more troublesome type of cirrhosis. Because it's in the middle and late stages, you need a liver transplant. It's that serious. Is there a kidney transplant? Yes, I found one. So soon? Yang obviously didn't believe him. Of course. When have I ever lied to you? Then, when is the surgery? Within 5 days. After a series of tests, the surgery will be done. After the surgery, I'll be cured. Yes. It's that simple? Yes, it's that simple. After Huamin finished speaking, Yang still felt unsure. He looked at Huamin suspiciously. Huamin smiled. Don't look at me like that. I'm not lying to you. But you don't have to be in such a hurry. I thought I had a terminal illness. The main problem is that your liver is failing, and it's affecting your digestive system. If you don't get the surgery in time, it'll affect your appetite and your weight. That's the main problem. Okay. I don't know much about professional stuff, but from what you've said, it shouldn't be a big problem. Of course, don't worry about it, Huamin comforted him. After talking to Yang, the kid calmed down a lot and didn't want to go out anymore. When Huamin walked out of the room, Sister Ingzi immediately went up to him. How is it? A young lady. He's fine. Don't worry. He's using Weibo and interacting with his fans, Huamin said with a smile. Did he have any reaction after he knew? No. It's not a life-threatening illness to begin with. Why are you making a fuss over nothing? That's great. Thank you, a young lady. Why are you thanking me? It's because the liver donor is great. That's why he was able to perform the surgery so quickly. Yeah, who is the donor? I plan to give her a sum of money as compensation. After all, she helped Yang. Hearing Sister Ingzi's words, Huamin shook his head. No need. She won't ask for money. You don't want money? Sister Ingzi looked even more confused. Forget it. I'll tell you about it later. I'm going to get busy. Call me if you need anything. Huamin was busy at Southside for the entire day. During this time, Hua Xiqian sent a WeChat message, saying that Hua Zhanghai had investigated the matter and found out that it was true. The Hua family's power structure had changed drastically. Xin Jiani and her daughters had been banished to the cold palace. They were grounded by Hua Zhanghai and weren't allowed to go out. His will was about to be changed. Hua Zhanghai also said that on the day of the change, Huamin had to be present. Mian, the 2 of us can take their share of the cake. How does that sound? Hua Xiqian sent a WeChat message. I don't want the cake. It's not mine to begin with. I'll give it all to you. Huamin wasn't greedy. She didn't want a single cent from the Hua family. Plus, she wasn't Hua Zhanghai's daughter to begin with. You don't want the money? Are you stupid? Hua Xiqian sent a WeChat message. Money isn't a good thing. It'll burn you if you have too much. I don't want things that aren't mine. You sound like you're not a member of the Hua family. Hua Xiqian said meaningfully. Huamin began to feel conflicted. Did Hua Xiqian know about her background or not? If he did, how much did he know? Did he know more than she did? Chapter 890. Ha! Why aren't you talking? Hua Xiqian sent her another WeChat message. Hua Xiqian, you seem to know a lot of secrets. Huamin used Tube a lot at once to test Hua Xiqian and see how much he knew. Ha! I do know a lot. To her surprise, Hua Xiqian didn't deny it. Hua Min felt her heart race. Maybe she could get all the information she wanted from Hua Xiqian. Nervously holding her phone, she sent him another WeChat message. How much do you know? How much do you want me to know? Hua Xiqian was still beating around the bush. How do I know how much you know? Then what do you want me to know? I know too much. What do you want to know? Hua Xiqian was quite arrogant. The truth was, Hua Min didn't want to alert him because she didn't want him to trick her. Therefore she asked subtly, actually, I just want to know about something that happened more than 20 years ago. Everyone says that my mom ran away with Hua Zhenghai's chauffeur. Uncle Jing was the Hua family chauffeur back then, but I don't think there's anything wrong with them falling in love. I should have asked Uncle Jing about this, but unfortunately, he's not here anymore. Some things are too old to be verified. Hua Xiqian chuckled at her words. Why are you laughing? Actually, Jingda's death might be a good thing for you. What do you mean? Uncle Jing died because of me. How sad am I? Because of this, Hua Min was forced to separate from Qin Chu for 7 years. Now that Hua Xiqian said it was a good thing, she couldn't accept it. What I mean is, if Jingda didn't die, you might have died instead. It's because he saved me that I felt guilty for the rest of my life. How do you know he did it to save you? Maybe he was the target all along. Besides, you may not know Jingda well. I only remember that my father and my mother both said that he was very shrewd. How is that possible? I was the one that was hit by that car. Hua Xiqian, you can't slander Uncle Jing. He's no longer alive. We should respect the dead. Hua Min clearly remembered the situation at that time. Therefore, Hua Xiqian's reasoning made her very angry. She couldn't accept such extreme words at the moment. Hua Xiqian chuckled softly. Heh. Don't get too worked up. I was just joking. Seeing that Hua Min was a little agitated, Hua Xiqian didn't dwell on the matter any longer. So, do you want to come when the old man changes his will? No. Hua Min was still determined. But from what I know about the old man, if you don't come, he'll probably give you a share, Hua Xiqian added. I don't want it even if he gives it to me. Can I give it up? Okay. Qin Chu really didn't mistreat you. I can tell from the way you sound like you're rich. Fine, then it's all mine, so I don't have to worry about whether or not I should kick you out of the game in the future. Hua Xiqian said half of the truth and stopped texting. Hua Min felt chills all over her body. She was just testing Hua Xiqian, but he knew a lot. She had never doubted Uncle Jing's character. After all, he had been very good to them all these years. He didn't give Hua Min a hard time at all. However, Hua Min knew that Hua Xiqian wasn't the kind of person who would spout nonsense. He must have his reasons for saying what he said. If what he said was true, then there might be more to what happened all those years ago. She thought it was a scheme set up by the Qin family to kill her. Uncle Jing only blocked it. But Hua Xiqian was saying that Uncle Jing was the enemy's target? Not her. If Uncle Jing didn't die, then she would have died? Uncle Jing wasn't as good as she thought? If this was before, Hua Min wouldn't have doubted Uncle Jing, who had saved her life. But now, everything was really hard to say because it was too complicated and confusing. Uncle Jing was the person who knew her background the best, but he kept it a secret all these years. And in Dongtao Town, everyone who knew the truth died a horrible death. Maybe there really was a terrifying mastermind behind all of this? Maybe Uncle Jing's death had something to do with this? And what about Qin Chu's parents? Was he just a scapegoat on the surface? Were they being used? At this thought, Hua Min shuddered. It was too scary. What kind of person could plan a conspiracy for 20 years and control everything? After work, she drove straight back to Sky Blessing Court. After Jixin left, she wanted to spend more time with her mother. You're off work. Yang Merong's eyes were filled with joy when she saw her daughter. Chapter 891. Are you tired? You've been so busy lately. Hua Min shook her head. I'm not tired. I'm not as busy as you think. Yang Merong took out an apple, washed it, and handed it to Hua Min. Thank you, Mom. She smiled sweetly. Jixin called me, he's already here. He said it's pretty nice there. He sent me a WeChat message too. I saw the photos. The environment is really nice. Mom, don't be angry. Technology is so advanced nowadays. Video calls are very convenient. I know, I don't miss him, I miss you. You don't have a child, I'm worried sick. Yang Meirong was worried sick about Hua Min's pregnancy, so she always talked about it. Mom. Lingling took me to see a Chinese doctor the other day. I'm taking medicine now. Don't worry, I'll have a baby soon. The doctor said that I have a cold body and can't get pregnant, but they didn't say that I can't get pregnant. It's not a big problem. That's good. Take your medicine on time and take care of yourself. Also, tell the hospital not to work at night. It's not good for your health. I know. Mom, oh right, Mom. Who named me back then? Why is it Hua Min? Yang Meirong sat down on the sofa next to her and tried to remember. At that time, I remember that I named you Hua Yun Yun. Pfft. That's so old-fashioned. Hua Min almost spat out the apple. If she was named Hua Yun Yun now, Qin Chu would probably laugh at her. Yeah. Your Uncle Jing said it wasn't special enough. He said he wanted to give you a special name. Uncle Jing. Why did he have to give me a special name? Hua Min looked at her mother in confusion. She felt more and more that Uncle Jing had a lot of secrets. Why didn't she realize it before? Was it really like Hua Zhenghai said, that Uncle Jing was very shrewd? Who knows? You were different from Zhixin. Zhixin would go to sleep after drinking milk, but you couldn't. You were always crying before you were a month old, and you were very loud. We couldn't sleep well. Later your Uncle Jing said, why don't we call you Hua Min? Mean as in sleep. I hope you'll be able to sleep well in the future. That's how we decided on your name. Mom, when I was born, didn't you find Dr. Lan from Dongtao Town to deliver me? Then, after I was born, did Uncle Jing still keep in touch with Dr. Lan and the others? Why do you keep saying that they're distant relatives? Yang Meirong nodded. Yeah, we do. When I was in confinement, your Uncle Jing went to Dongtao Town once and gave Dr. Lan some of our local specialties. And then? Does Uncle Jing return to Dongtao Town often? Hua Min asked. It's okay, quite often. He had to help you with some miscellaneous paperwork and stuff. Who knows? Anyway, when I was in confinement, your Uncle Jing was the one running around. Yang Meirong didn't seem to know much about these things. Most of the time, she followed Jingda's orders. Mom, do you still have Uncle Jing's belongings? I want to take a look. Why would you look at it? It's bad luck. Yang Meirong seemed unhappy. I'm a doctor, why would I believe in those things? Mom, help me look for it. I miss Uncle Jing. Wait here. I'll go look for it. I don't think there's anything left. Just a small box. Then, Yang Meirong went upstairs and soon came back down with a small box. Hua Min smiled. Mom, can you heat up a glass of milk for me? I want to drink it. Sure, wait here. After sending her mother away, Hua Min quickly opened the small black box and began to look through Uncle Jing's belongings. She tried to find some clues, because she was getting more and more curious, and wanted to know what happened back then. Chapter 892. The result was very disappointing. There were only a few things in the old box. An old-fashioned razor and a flashlight. These were all things that Uncle Jing often used when he was alive. There was also an old cell phone. It was the oldest model and was equivalent to an old man's phone. It couldn't be turned on anymore. Hua Min secretly took out the cell phone and put it in her bag. If she wanted to take out the cell phone's chip, she would have to find a professional. Perhaps she would be able to find out who Uncle Jing was with before and after the accident 7 years ago. There was also half a pack of unfinished cigarettes. It was a rather old brand. The kind that cost 5 yuan a pack. Beside it was a lighter. It seemed that her mother still missed Uncle Jing, so she kept these things. At the bottom was a book that Uncle Jing often read. It was very funny. It wasn't a classic book, nor was it a more exciting martial arts novel. It was a fortune-telling book, the kind that didn't ask for help. Hua Min flipped it open and saw that there were fortune-telling, and the 12 zodiac signs. These had always been popular in the countryside, because most of the villagers believed in these so-called fortune-telling. Hua Min remembered that Uncle Jing used to love reading it. Sometimes, he would look at the almanac before going out. She thought that this kind of book wouldn't have any clues. Unintentionally, Hua Min flipped to the calendar of the month she was born. On the perpetual calendar, it was September 18, 1992. Someone had circled it with a pen. This wasn't strange. After all, it was Hua Min's birthday. It was normal for Uncle Jing to mark it for her. But the strangest thing was that at the bottom of the book, there were 3 words written in black with a ballpoint pen. Regret. Only the words, regret. The handwriting was a little messy. It was obvious that it was written by Uncle Jing. When they were organizing the belongings, no one looked through it carefully, so they didn't find it. Now, it seemed that Uncle Jing was referring to regret. Was it because he knew that she wasn't Yang Merong's child and brought her back? Or was there something else? Hua Min had more questions when he found this. The milk is ready, Mian. Hua Min immediately closed the small box when he heard the noise. Thank you, Mom. She took the milk and drank it slowly. Yang Merong glanced at Jingda's belongings with a sad look in her eyes. This guy doesn't have the life to enjoy a good life. In the past, he raised our entire family by himself. Now that our lives are better, he's gone. How ironic. Yang Merong sighed. Mom. Uncle Jing didn't have any savings these years? That's not true. He's just a chauffeur. It's already good enough that he can support his family. Before the accident, he told me that he wanted to partner up with someone to do something. In the end, the accident happened. At the end of the day, he just doesn't have the life of a rich man. Hua Min lowered her head and didn't say anything. She remembered Hua Xiqian mentioning that Hua Zhanghai had given Jingda 200,000 yuan. It seemed that Jingda had never taken out the money to give to his mother. Therefore, she also suspected that the flow of money had something to do with her background. Uncle Jing seemed to be in contact with someone behind mother's back. She stayed at her mother's house until late at night. She didn't leave until Qin Chu came to pick her up. Hua Min didn't mention the phone and the belongings to Qin Chu. This was because she heard from Qin Chu and Rick that Qin Chu had been investigating this incident. However, this incident was very strange. People kept disappearing. Therefore, Hua Min didn't want Qin Chu to take any more risks because of her. Honey, what are you thinking about? Qin Chu asked gently when he saw that she was a little distracted. Nothing. I just miss Jixin. Hua Min changed the subject. Didn't Jixin send you a WeChat message? He's settled down over there. Everything is fine. Yeah, he told me. Hua Min nodded. The couple went home and went to bed early. The next afternoon, Hua Min took advantage of the lunch break to go find Jiang Xiaowei at the Municipal Public Security Bureau. Although Jiang Xiaowei was pregnant, she didn't hesitate at all and continued to work at the Municipal Public Security Bureau. Wei Liao was also at the company during the day. The couple was busy with their own work. Jiang Xiaowei was very happy to see Hua Min. She grabbed his hand and said, "We know each other so well. I was just about to ask you out for lunch. Let's go, we have authentic Cantonese food downstairs." Before Hua Min could say anything, Jiang Xiaowei pulled Hua Min all the way to the restaurant downstairs. "Xiaowei, I'm here today because I need your help." Chapter 893. Go ahead. Jiang Xiaowei nodded. Hua Min took out a cell phone from her pocket and placed it on the table. This is way too old. Don't tell me this is your old cell phone. Jiang Xiaowei looked at the old Nokia cell phone that hadn't appeared on the market for many years. Her jaw dropped. No, it's an old friend of mine. He's no longer around, but there seems to be some clues in the phone. Now the phone is turned off and seems to be broken. Can you get someone to check the call history of this phone for me? Call history? Take out the card and go to the business hall? Jiang Xiaowei was surprised. Hua Min shook her head. There's no card. There was no card when I got it. No card. Jiang Xiaowei was confused. Hua Min knew it wasn't that simple. She didn't think it was a coincidence that the card in the cell phone was missing. That was why she wanted to know who else Uncle Jing was in contact with before and after the accident. So, can you check it out? Can you find a programming expert? Hua Min had a glimmer of hope. Jiang Xiaowei picked up the cell phone and looked at it. Let's try. I can't guarantee anything. We do have a top programming expert in the city bureau. I have a good relationship with him. I'll show it to him. All right, then I'll have to trouble you. Don't mention it. Don't you always help me? Jiang Xiaowei smiled. How have you been recently? You don't have morning sickness or anything like that, right? No. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'll eat and drink when I want to. That's good. You don't have to suffer. The wedding is on the 1st of January. You have to be there. Of course. By the way, are you going to Su Yu's birthday cocktail party next week? Zhang Xiaowei suddenly asked. I haven't decided yet. I'll see. In fact, Hua Min wanted to keep a low profile and not let anyone know. Qin Chu was right. Her and Su Yu's identities were very sensitive, so it was better not to make a big deal out of it. For this reason, she did not tell Zhang Xiaowei directly. That's a good idea. You're now a young lady of GK, and it's hard to say if someone takes a picture of you. It's good that you don't come, but Su Yu will probably be very disappointed. Wei Liao said that he's changed a lot recently. He rarely gets involved in scandals and spends most of his time working at the corporation. It seems like he's turned over a new leaf, and it's all thanks to you. What does it have to do with me? At the end of the day, his nature isn't bad, Hua Min replied. That's true. Su Yu is really a difficult person to deal with. He looks wanton and unrestrained, but he's actually a good person. At first, I thought that he had an affair with Jian Tong, but later I found out that it was just a publicity stunt. Su Yu doesn't seem to be the same as before. The truth is, he has nothing to do with me. I don't really pay attention to his affairs. Hua Min had always been aware of her identity, so she had always avoided any contact with Su Yu. She cherished her relationship with Qin Chu, so she constantly reminded herself to stay rational and not make any impulsive decisions. This is why I like you. You're so decisive, you're either black or white. There's no gray or ambiguity. If you like Qin Chu, you'll marry him regardless of the consequences. If you don't like Su Yu, you'll reject him. You don't give him hope or whet his appetite to show off your charm. So, Hua Min, I really admire you. You're truly domineering and pretentious. After Zhang Xiaowei finished speaking, both of them laughed. That night, Hua Min and Qin Chu returned to Sky Blessing Court to have dinner with their mother. To their surprise, Hua Zhenghai came. Why are you here? Hua Min's attitude wasn't friendly when he saw him. Mian, don't misunderstand, I didn't ask someone to investigate. I went to the old house and heard from the neighbors that you guys moved to Sky Blessing Court, so I came to see you guys. Hua Zhenghai continued to pretend to be a loving father. Mr. Hua, you must be very busy at home. How do you have time to see us? Hua Min's words were laced with sarcasm. It made Hua Zhenghai feel very awkward. Chapter 894. Mom, you probably don't know what happened to Mr. Hua's family, right? Hua Min looked at Yang Meirong and asked. What happened? Yang Meirong looked confused. She really didn't know, and Hua Min didn't mention it to her. Mr. Hua, do you want to tell her or should I? Hua Min looked at Hua Zhenghai with a sharp gaze. Hua Zhenghai didn't know what to say. If you can't say it, then I'll say it for you. That woman, Shen Jiani, betrayed Mr. Hua and met her lover for more than 20 years. Not only were they caught on camera, but Hua Si was also proven not to be Mr. Hua's son. What? Hua Min said everything in one breath. Yang Meirong was completely dumbfounded. Hua Zhenghai took the opportunity to hold Yang Meirong's hand and said, Rong Rong, you're the best. I was blind to believe that bitch, Shen Jiani. I'm so sorry for you and your mother. No, you're not sorry for me. You're sorry for my mom. Even though she was a mistress, she didn't want to break up your family. She was the only one who foolishly believed that it was love. Hua Min knew his mother's difficulties. Even though she was also a mistress, she was different. Shen Jiani did it for money, power, and the Hua family's fortune. Yang Meirong was trapped by love. Once, she wanted to die because Hua Zhenghai had a change of heart. Luckily, she met Jing Da, and the two of them got together and lived a normal life. Mr. Hua, you can't be so snobbish. You gave up on my mother back then, so what's wrong with coming back to admit your mistake? Not all mistakes deserve to be forgiven. You can't come here to seek comfort just because Shen Jiani hurt you. Our family doesn't sell you non-bai yao, we can't heal your trauma. Everyone knew that Hua Min had a sharp tongue. Qin Chu quietly watched Hua Min show off. His wife's aura was indeed oppressive. That charm, that aura, it was simply too mesmerizing. Qin Chu almost couldn't help but laugh when he saw Hua Zhenghai's face darken and darken, then turn green again. How did his wife come up with such a rich vocabulary? What the hell? Haha. That's great. That's great. I didn't think that you would have such a day. I knew that Shen Jiani wouldn't want to be left out. Yang Meirong smiled. Now that she had gotten her revenge, she felt much more relaxed. Rong Rong. I was blind. I'm sorry. Hua Zhenghai kept apologizing. Then, he tilted his head to look at Hua Min and said, Mian, I didn't come here today to beg for your forgiveness. In fact, I came here to ask you to verify my new will. I've already decided to give a large portion of my assets to you and your daughter. I'm sorry, Mr. Hua, but we don't need money anymore. Maybe we used to be poor, but we're doing well now. My husband, Mr. Qin Chu, has given us a lot of food, clothing and money, so we're not interested in your will. If you don't have a place to donate, then donate it to a welfare home or charity. Hua Min definitely wouldn't accept Hua Zhenghai's will. If it was before, she wouldn't have been so pretentious and would have just accepted it. However, now that she knew that she wasn't Hua Zhenghai's daughter, she wouldn't go against her conscience and take this kind of money. After all, she wasn't a woman like Shen Jiani, who would do anything. Mian is right. We don't need money, so we don't need a will. The truth was, Hua Zhenghai wasn't that kind. The only reason he was willing to change his will was because he was tricked by Shen Jiani. Moreover, he had already thought about it. If he could get on good terms with Hua Min in the future, then GK would be one of his backers. When the time came, he could use Qin Chu to deal with Hua Xiqian and take out everything that belonged to him. Therefore, he had to give Hua Min a taste of his own medicine. Unfortunately, Hua Min didn't buy it. Nephew Qin Chu, please help me. I really want to leave some money for them. If I'm gone, they'll have insurance. Hua Zhenghai stared at Qin Chu, who hadn't spoken yet. Chapter 895. Look at how fake Hua Zhenghai's words were. Qin Chu calmly replied, It's okay, Uncle Hua. I can take care of my wife, and I won't mistreat my mother-in-law. You're overthinking things. Qin Chu's words made Hua Zhenghai even more speechless. Hua Zhenghai was the one who gave him the cold shoulder. Did you hear that? We don't care about your stupid money. Don't think you're so great just because you're rich. Let me tell you, it's useless. I was with you back then partly because of money, but after all these years, I've realized that no matter how much money you have, your happiness won't increase because of it. No matter how rich you are, you won't live to be 200 years old. Yang Meirong was also on her daughter's side. Hua Zhenghai saw that this family wasn't going to listen to him, so he got up and left. Mom, the Hua family is in chaos right now. I don't know what he's up to. Don't open the door for him again, okay? I know, I only let him in because he said he wanted to talk to me about something important. If I knew he was like this, I would have kicked him out a long time ago. Hua Zhenghai really can't change his ways. He's always slandering your Uncle Jing. How shameless. Huh? Did he say anything to you about Uncle Jing? Hua Min immediately asked. Yeah. He always slandered your Uncle Jing in front of me. He said that your Uncle Jing is a shrewd person, and that he'll never be able to see through him. That he's always in the dark, and that he'll help people count the money after being sold. Oh, what's wrong? Yang Meirong asked curiously. Nothing, I'm just asking. Hua Min smiled and didn't ask any more questions. On the way back, Qin Chu shook Hua Min's hand and asked with a smile, Why are you so mysterious lately? Nothing. I feel like you're hiding something from me. Why would I? Hua Min immediately denied, feeling guilty. Really? Qin Chu obviously didn't believe him. I really didn't. Mr. Qin, I swear to God. Anyway, if I find out, I'll teach you a lesson. Qin Chu smirked and didn't say anything else. In the blink of an eye, Su Yu's birthday arrived. A few days before that, all the media began to report on it. Many people had been paying attention to it. They had thought that Su Yu would hold a grand birthday party at Imperial Star. But there was no movement. When Jian Tong, Mian, and the other female artists were interviewed, they all said that they didn't know about their boss's arrangements. The employees of Imperial Star were also tight-lipped about their boss's birthday. But the more it was like this, the more curious the media became. Su Yu's birthday party started at 6 p.m. in Su Yu's private villa. It was the villa with the most luxurious private aquarium in the country. Wei Liao had once joked about entering Su Yu's villa. It felt like following Ocean Park. Yes. There was tempered glass everywhere, and all kinds of marine life and tropical fish could be seen everywhere. It was so romantic to sleep in his house. But unfortunately, no woman could stay in Su Yu's mansion. Because he really didn't like strangers entering his personal space. Even when Zhao Qingya was his favorite, she didn't receive such treatment. Su Yu's 28th birthday was very important to the Su family. At noon, Su Yu had lunch with his grandparents. Then, according to tradition, he went to the Su family's ancestral hall to offer incense and kowtow to his ancestors. At night, he came back to the villa and began the young people's celebration. Famous directors and actresses from all over the country arrived in Sea City. Luxury cars were parked outside Su Yu's private villa. However, because the villa was heavily guarded, the media couldn't get in. So, most of them hid outside anxiously. Wei Liao and Zhang Xiaowei attended the party. Tang Chuan had a new female partner. She was Chinese-Russian and was rumored to be the new favorite on the runway. She was 1.78 meters tall. Because the theme of the party was red, all the guests, regardless of gender, wore red. It was as festive as the Spring Festival. Su Yu wore a dark red casual shirt with black decorative stripes on his sleeves and chest. It was luxurious and elegant. There was a black jewel on his left ear, which shone brightly under the illumination of the lights. Holy shit! Look, Lord Su is so handsome tonight. Tang Chuan exclaimed to Wei Liao and the others from afar. Chapter 896. Everyone looked over and saw Su Yu standing in the middle of the crowd with a glass of champagne in his hand. He kept looking at the door as if he was waiting for someone to arrive. Su Yu's private mansion had a 400-square-meter garden and was extremely luxurious. The style of the design was unprecedented as well. Many celebrities were shocked when they walked in and clicked their tongues in amazement. A red carpet was laid out from the entrance all the way to the front of the mansion. On the stage beside the swimming pool, a famous girl group was singing and dancing enthusiastically. Western food, red wine, champagne, and all kinds of drinks and food were everywhere. There were also countless flowers decorating the place. Extravagance and spending money had always been Su Yu's style. Although he didn't want to make it public, he didn't spend a lot of money. However, the decorations were not any less extravagant. It was still extremely luxurious and eye-catching. Lord Su, you're so handsome today, I'm about to fall in love with you. Tang Chuan went over to tease him. Stop bullshitting. If you don't have anything to do, help me receive more guests. I'm so busy that I'm going crazy. Su Yu was speechless. Those who weren't invited didn't know how they found out, so they arrived one after another. It was like the opening of a film festival. All the artists under Imperial Star were present. Even Annie Liang, who had already jumped ship, came. She was wearing a bright red gown and was dressed very flirtatiously. Dr. Jiang, you're very beautiful today. Su Yu looked at Zhang Xiaowei and smiled. I've always been this beautiful, okay? Zhang Xiaowei held onto Wei Liao's arm. How is it? When is young Master Wei coming out? The expected date is August next year. Wei Liao seemed to have a sense of superiority. After all, he was the first one to become a father out of all of them. Hey, hurry up, who's that? The girls went crazy. Su Yu and Wei Liao also looked toward the door. A man in a red tuxedo walked in. He didn't smile and his eyes were sharp. He was very good-looking, but everyone didn't seem to have seen him before. Is that the new artist under Imperial Star? He's so handsome. It can't be. Imperial Star didn't advertise it, but it's really good. So cool, you're not even smiling, the girls whispered to each other. The man walked straight to Su Yu. Then he stretched out his hand. Lord Su, happy birthday. When did you return to China? Su Yu was really surprised. This was Shen Mingxi, the son of the Beiyang Automobile Company. He was one of the 4 princes of the nation, along with Su Yu, Hua Xiqian, and Wei Liao. His looks and family background crushed Tang Chuan's, so Tang Chuan did not have a good impression of him. However, because he had been studying in England, very few people in China had seen him before. According to the rumors, he and Su Yu had a blind spot. Looking at it now, there was indeed some basis for it. I just arrived last night. Why didn't you call in advance? I'll pick you up. If I told you in the past, would it still be a surprise? Shen Mingxi replied. Su Yu smiled. The two chatted for a while, and then Shen Mingxi walked in. Pretentious guy, why is he back? Tang Chuan looked unconvinced. You don't hold a grudge over the rankings from back then, okay? He doesn't care about it, but you still can't forget it. Wei Liao laughed. I can't take this lying down. Our families are about the same, but we lost because of our looks. If we're talking about looks, I'm more handsome than him, okay? Yeah, you're the most handsome person in the world. Then, Su Yu turned around and left. Fuck, Lord Su, why do I feel like you're insulting me? Tang Chuan complained behind him. Wei Liao and Jiang Shaowei were amused. Huh? Old Wei, do you think Qin Chu will come? If your wife is being coveted, do you think you'd still go to her birthday party? Pfft. That's a good explanation. How big is that? If you don't like it, let's make a bet. I bet a yacht that Qin Chu won't come. Wei Liao laughed. Chapter 897. I'm not betting. I'm scared that I won't even be able to put on my pants if I lose. But I have a feeling that Hua Min will come, Tang Chuan added. You're feeling. I think that Hua Min will divorce Lord Su. Wei Liao rolled his eyes at him. He felt that Tang Chuan's guesses were mostly unreliable. There were so many people at this kind of event. It wasn't appropriate for Hua Min to come, right? Just then, a guest walked in and attracted attention again. Song Yisher? Why is she here? Tang Chuan was surprised to see Song Yisher. He didn't remember her being that close to Lord Su. Young Master Su, happy birthday. Song Yisher was wearing a pair of red wide-legged pants and a white short-sleeved shirt. Although it was early winter outside, Su Yu's mansion was filled with enthusiasm. Most of the guests were wearing summer clothes. Thank you. My father is out of town for a meeting, so I'm here on his behalf. Please forgive me, young Master Su. Song Yisher was indeed a social expert. Every frown and smile of hers was perfect and didn't make people feel uncomfortable. Mayor Song was very concerned about Su Yu's birthday. He told Song Yisher to come and bring a gift. That was because old Master Su had a lot of influence. Who would dare to offend his precious grandson? My father asked me to bring this to young Master Su. Song Yisher handed him a cylinder. Please thank Mayor Song for me. Su Yu was calm. He was used to dealing with these bureaucrats. I heard that young Master Su and Hua Min are good friends? Song Yisher suddenly asked. Su Yu raised his head and looked at her quietly. He didn't know what she meant. Just then, Song Yisher added, Hua Min and I are friends too. She's a nice person and I like her a lot. Oh, is that so? Su Yu's reaction was very indifferent. He didn't like people probing his relationship with Hua Min. Or rather, he didn't think that he had anything to do with Hua Min now. If I like someone, I won't say anything. Is there anything wrong with that? In the distance, Jiang Shaowei looked at Song Yisher and whispered, I don't like this Song Yisher. Why? Wei Liao was a little surprised. There's no particular reason. It's just a feeling. It's the feeling I got at first sight. It's right that you don't like her. She might be Hua Min's biggest rival. This woman is the apple of Mr. and Mrs. Qin's eye. She's Lady Qin's weapon. She's also the only woman who can come and go freely in the Qin manor, and openly meet Qin Chu. Tang Chuan had always been well informed, so he began to dig up information about Song Yisher. A woman like her. Forget it. I don't think she's a match for my Hua. Jiang Shaowei liked Hua Min a lot, so she sometimes referred to her as my Hua in front of outsiders. It was an extremely intimate way of addressing her. Wei Liao smiled as well. I don't think she's a match for her either. There's no one who can defeat Hua Min in front of Qin Chu, right? Wei Liao had personally witnessed Qin Chu's feelings for Hua Min, so the couple echoed each other. Tang Chuan, on the other hand, whistled and said, I actually hope that she can defeat Hua Min. Then, Hua Min will be heartbroken and fall into the arms of my Lord Su. My heart aches for my Lord Su. Jiang Shaowei, Wei Liao. Fine, they had to give in to Tang Chuan's words. This guy always liked to watch the drama unfold. Not long after Song Yisher entered, Hua Xiqian arrived as well. He was wearing a red tuxedo and looked extremely flamboyant. Beside him was Mo Shui, who was wearing a red strapless evening gown. As soon as Mo Shui appeared, she became the center of attention once again. Many famous directors and producers surrounded her, as if they really wanted to work with her. Hua Xiqian and Su Yu stood on the side. Today's event is quite grand. I'm already being very low-key, Su Yu said with a smile as he took a sip of champagne. Will she be here? Who? Su Yu pretended not to know. You know, don't play dumb with me, okay? Ha! I'm not sure, she didn't say, but I invited her. Su Yu smiled bitterly. He really wanted Hua Min to come, but Hua Min probably wouldn't come. I'm guessing that girl from my family will come. Hua Xiqian smiled mysteriously. How do you know? Did she tell you? Su Yu asked with a glimmer of hope. Chapter 898. How's that possible? She's not the type of person to say things like that. I just think that even though she looks cold and sharp-tongued, she knows who's good to her and knows how to be grateful. I think she definitely knows how you feel about her. You gave her fireworks and a motorcade for her birthday. I don't think she won't show up. She'll at least say happy birthday. That's her personality. Hua Xiqian watched Hua Min grow up. Even though they didn't interact much, he knew her personality very well. Therefore, he guessed that Hua Min might show up. However, it was hard to say. After all, if she cared about Qin Chu's feelings, she might not show up. It was hard to say. When Su Yu heard this, he stuck out his tongue and licked the corner of his lips. He didn't say anything. He used to think that birthdays were just for everyone to burn money to celebrate and that it was meaningless. However, this time, he suddenly felt that he had something to look forward to. If Hua Min suddenly showed up and said happy birthday, he would be very happy, right? After all, the person who said happy birthday was too important to him. However, he also knew that if Hua Min didn't want Qin Chu to be unhappy, she might not show up. After all, to Hua Min, no one was more important than Qin Chu. Mo Shui was surrounded by a group of people asking for autographs and photos. Then, they posted it on their WeChat moments to show off. Hua Xiqian was bored, so he walked up to Song Yisher with a glass of wine in his hand. Hey, Miss Song. Young Master Hua. You're so beautiful today. I always thought that you were the most exquisite woman I've ever seen. Thank you, but if Miss Mo hears this, she'll probably be jealous, right? Song Yisher smiled. No, I'm telling the truth. Shui won't be jealous. Song Yisher smiled but didn't say anything. I heard that Miss Song lived with the Qin family for more than a year when she was young. Song Yisher's expression changed. Young Master Hua, you sure know a lot. Oh. I heard about it by accident, but I'm confused. Miss Song was cute when she was young, right? If she lived with the Qin family for so long, why didn't she and Qin Chu flirt? As soon as she finished speaking, Song Yisher couldn't hold it in anymore. She smiled awkwardly. Maybe Qin Chu doesn't like me? Who said so? All the men in the world like beautiful women. But Qin Chu is an exception. In his eyes, Hua Mian is the perfect one, right? After Song Yisher finished speaking, she picked up her glass and took a sip of champagne. The look in her eyes was complicated. President Su, we can cut the cake now, the female assistant beside him reminded him. Su Yu nodded and looked at the door, but there was still no one. Everyone was here, so Su Yu turned around and walked into the center of the stage. The staff pushed out a 7-layered cake. It was red and beautifully decorated. Each layer had a different design. There were roses, sports cars, boats and so on. Everyone crowded around him. There were 3 layers inside and 3 layers outside. It was a sea of people. When Su Yu of course raised his hand, all the spotlights focused on him. Then, he symbolically cut the cake, and fireworks began to explode. The girls screamed and took out their cell phones to record videos. A few famous female celebrities from Imperial Star surrounded Su Yu and sang happy birthday songs. Many men were envious of this scene. If I were Lord Su, I would sleep with 1 a day, 365 a year, and 3 years in a row. Then, I'd be able to get the Guinness Book of Best One-Night Dating Record. Ha ha ha. Tang Chuan laughed. If he were as evil as you, he wouldn't be Su Yu. Wei Liao sighed. Lord Su doesn't seem to be in a good mood, Jiang Xiaowei said as she looked at Suyu of the crowd. Isn't that because the person he wants to see isn't here yet? A few people were watching from the side. Most people were gathered in the middle of the stage. No one noticed a petite figure taking advantage of the chaos. She snuck into Suyu's mansion. After drinking with everyone, Suyu of the crowd sat down on a bench by the pool. Just then his cell phone rang. He looked at the caller ID and was pleasantly surprised. He immediately picked it up. Hello. I'm at the southeast corner of your house. There are a lot of reporters outside. Jump over the wall. I have something to tell you. After saying this, Hua Min of the crowd hung up. She looked around Suyu's mansion and found a secluded area in the southeast corner. There were a few Chinese parasol trees, and it was a blind spot to prevent paparazzi from taking photos. That was why she called Suyu. Chapter 899. After answering Hua Min's call, Suyu felt his heart pounding wildly. She really did come. He didn't wait in vain. Suyu quietly walked to the female assistant. I'm going out for a bit. If someone looks for me, tell them I'm tired and I'm going back to my room to rest. Okay, President Su. The female assistant nodded. Then, Suyu put on a black jacket to cover up the red on his body. Then, while no one was looking, he walked to the southeast corner. There were no lights there, so it was completely dark. Luckily, the wall wasn't very high. Suyu used to be in the military, so he was very agile. He easily climbed up the wall. As expected, when he leaned over the wall, he saw Hua Min in the corner. She was also wearing red. Although it was just a small cotton jacket, it was still very cute. Hey, stupid girl, you're late. I already finished cutting the cake, he whispered as he leaned over the wall. Hua Min was startled. She looked up and waved her hand. Hurry up and come down. Don't let anyone take a picture of us. What are you afraid of? We're not having an affair. After speaking, Suyu lightly jumped down from the wall that was about 2 meters high. His movements were clean and nimble. Hua Min immediately sweated. You're overthinking it. Take out the present. What? Who asks for a present? Why are you here if you don't bring a present? Suyu looked at Hua Min, amused. She brought the scarf and hat that Xia Wan knitted for her. She also brought a pair of white and furry gloves. There were also 2 rabbit ears on the hat. Then, she wore a pair of black pencil pants and a bright red cotton jacket. She looked very cute. Hua Min heard that Suyu's party was red-themed. She looked through her wardrobe. Most of the red clothes were summer dresses and dresses. She would definitely freeze to death if she wore it. Then, he didn't dare to drive his Audi R8 because he was afraid that the media would take pictures of the license plate number. She took a taxi and circled around Suyu's villa several times before she found such a secret place. Hua Min carefully removed the bullet shell from his palm and handed it over. Here. What are you doing? Suyu was a little surprised. He looked at her and refused to take it. Actually, I didn't want it when you gave it to me last time because it was too expensive. So, I wanted to take the opportunity to return it to you on your birthday. There's no reason for me to take back what I've given away. Since I gave it to you, it's yours. If you think it's too valuable, you can never use it. But you can't humiliate me like this. Suyu said coldly. Hua Min explained, I didn't mean to humiliate you. Don't overthink it. Then take it back. Suyu said with a cold face. Hua Min saw that he couldn't continue to insist, so she had no choice but to put it back. Suyu was right. At most, she wouldn't have to use this promise for the rest of her life, so... You didn't bring any other gifts? Suyu crossed his arms and deliberately questioned her angrily. Hua Min rubbed her forehead awkwardly. Then, she thought for a moment and said, I got it. Wait a second, okay? She lowered her head and took out her wallet. She pulled out a stack of cash. It was exactly 5,000 yuan. She took it out this morning to buy a computer for Shuai Shuai. Now, it seemed that giving money was a good idea when she didn't have any gifts to give. Here. Happy birthday. Buy whatever you like to eat. Suyu was speechless. Take it. You're welcome. Hua Min, I want to fucking strangle you, Suyu said with a dark face. Hua Min was the first woman to give Suyu money on his birthday. Everyone knew that Suyu didn't lack money. In the past, women tried to please him. They gave him ties, socks, cufflinks, brooches, watches, and rings. Some even gave him condoms and condoms. But who would give him money? To Suyu, money was the most worthless thing in the world. Do you think it's too little? I only have this much right now. Do you want me to withdraw some more for you later? Is there an ATM nearby? Hua Min asked in all seriousness. Suyu was so angry that he was about to spit fire. If the person in front of him wasn't Hua Min, he really wanted to send him flying with a kick. So, you called me and asked me to jump over the wall to see you, and you wanted to give me this? Suyu asked with a dark face. Chapter 900. Hua Min awkwardly coughed twice. Ahem, as the saying goes, plans can't keep up with changes. Seriously, her plan was to return the bullet shell. She told Qin Chu the same thing, but he didn't want it. So, she really didn't prepare any gifts. It should be hard to choose a gift for Suyu, right? He basically received high-end sports cars, villas, and all kinds of expensive antiques. She heard that on his birthday last year, a coal mine owner tried to curry favor with the Su family. He actually gave him a huge golden snake. Was it because Suyu's zodiac sign was a snake? He was simply a nouveau riche. I'm sorry if you don't want money, then I really don't have anything else. Hua Min awkwardly explained. Suyu looked down at Hua Min, who was wearing a hat and a thick cotton-padded jacket. The more he looked at her, the cuter she was. Then on impulse, before Hua Min could say anything, he suddenly picked her up with both hands. Then he spun her around 3 times. Hua Min was scared out of her wits. Just as she was about to faint, he put her down. Okay, I got my birthday present, Suyu said confidently. To him, being able to greedily hug Hua Min was already very good, very good. He didn't have any desire, he just carried her and spun her around 3 times. Without any warning. Hua Min was a little dumbfounded. Go back, it's pretty cold. Suyu knew that he couldn't keep her for too long. With Hua Min's current status, it was dangerous. The longer he stayed, the more dangerous it would be. If someone saw him, he wouldn't be able to explain himself. After speaking, Suyu turned around and left. Suyu! Hua Min suddenly shouted. Suyu stopped in his tracks, but he didn't turn around. Happy birthday, Hua Min said slowly as he stared at Suyu's tall and handsome back. Suyu still didn't turn around. Instead, he raised his right hand and made an okay gesture. Then he flipped over the wall in an extremely nimble manner. Hua Min took out his phone and looked at the time. It was about 8:20 in the evening. She ran all the way out of the neighborhood, then stopped a taxi and left. Suyu was in a good mood after jumping back over the wall. No one seemed to have noticed Suyu's temporary absence. Only a few people asked about it, and the female assistant told them what he had told her. Go get me a carton of wine. Open it all. Your wine is that? The female assistant was slightly surprised. Yes, that one. After saying that, Suyu turned around and left. The female assistant was secretly surprised. Every bottle of Suyu's wine collection was worth more than 500,000 yuan. There were only 12 bottles in one box, which meant that there was more than 6 million yuan worth of wine. God, this is crazy. Did something good happen to President Su? The female assistant thought to herself. Because of Hua Min's arrival, Suyu was in a good mood. When he came back, he immediately opened a carton of expensive Lafite. Everyone was having even more fun. On the stage, Jian Tong was singing. She was a singer from a talent show and won first place that year. Later, because the recording industry wasn't ideal, she changed careers and became an actress. Now, she was doing very well. However, people rarely heard her sing. She sang a very affectionate rendition of Yang Zhongwei's The Onion. Her voice was very beautiful. The entire audience was very engrossed and listened very seriously. When she sang to the climax, Jian Tong looked at Suyu, who wasn't far away, affectionately. Is Jian Tong trying to express something to you? Tang Chuan asked with a smile. Suyu didn't say anything. He just quietly listened to the song. Why did he feel like the song was talking about him? Wei Liao interjected. I think she's singing about our Lord Su's situation. Suyu smiled helplessly. Just then someone suddenly shouted, "Oh no!" Someone jumped off the building. After he said that, everyone panicked. Suyu immediately stood up. Everyone ran towards Su Yu's mansion. Chapter 901. When Su Yu arrived, he heard a lot of people whispering. A young woman was lying on the ground with blood under her head. She wasn't wearing a single piece of clothing. She was completely naked and white. What's going on? I don't know. I heard a bang and she jumped down. Who is this person? Does anyone know her? Su Yu looked around and asked. A female artist under Imperial Star slowly walked up and said in a low voice, President Su, I really want to know her. Who is she? Su Yu felt uneasy that a strange woman jumped off a building in his own home. She's Zhao Qingya's younger sister, Zhao Xia. I saw Zhao Qingya bring her to the company before, the female artist whispered. Zhao Qingya's younger sister? What's she doing here? Su Yu had a feeling that something bad was going to happen. Someone in the crowd called the police, and the police quickly arrived. The leader was Gao Ran. Since he heard that there was a murder, as the captain, Gao Ran naturally had to lead the team. Young Master Su, I'm sorry. Someone called the police and said that someone jumped off a building. Gao Ran was wearing a black police uniform as he spoke to Su Yu with a serious expression on his face. Yeah, right here. Su Yu pointed at the woman's body. Gao Ran walked over with his subordinates. Everyone, make way, we're going to seal off the scene. Please cooperate. Then the crowd slowly dispersed. It was supposed to be a birthday party, but because of a strange woman jumping off a building, things became complicated. A few female artists whispered among themselves. Is Zhao Qingya's younger sister here to avenge her sister? She doesn't have to risk her life for revenge, does she? That's too scary. Plus, Zhao Qingya was never a good person. President Su did the right thing by terminating her contract. What's there to avenge? Why wasn't the woman wearing any clothes? Did something happen in the bedroom? Most of the guests left because of this incident. A few people who were close to Su Yu stayed behind to wait for the latest developments. Gao Ran led the officers from the Major Crimes Division to do a thorough search. They waited outside for about an hour. Then, Gao Ran came downstairs with his men. He walked up to Su Yu and said in a serious tone, Young Master Su, I'm sorry, but we found a large amount of Bing powder, some tools, and the victim's clothes in your bedroom upstairs. Because the victim jumped off the building in your bedroom, we suspect that this incident has something to do with you. Please come with us to assist with the investigation. What? Did you make a mistake? Captain Gao? Tang Chuan was furious. Su Yu had something to do with this? How was that possible? He didn't believe that Su Yu would push a woman he didn't even know off the building. Captain Gao, I didn't even go into the bedroom. Even if something happened to her in there, you can't blame it on me, right? Gao Ran stared at Su Yu's face and said, We found from your home CCTV that you disappeared from the footage between 8:00 p.m. and 8:20 p.m. Everyone was there, but you were the only one missing. When we checked the CCTV footage, we found that the footage was broken. A few people also said that they asked your assistant, who said that you weren't feeling well and went to the bedroom to rest. The timing matches, so we have reason to suspect that you have the time and motive to commit the crime. Unless you can tell us where you went during that time? Su Yu was at a loss for words. During that time, he jumped off the wall to see Huamin. Then, he told his assistant that if anyone asked, he was going to the bedroom to rest. Why did Su Yu feel like he was set up? How could it be so coincidental? Where were you during that time? Gao Ran questioned. Tell us, Lord Su. It's okay, we all believe you, Tang Chuan egged Su Yu on. They all believed that Su Yu wouldn't play with a woman in the bedroom, let alone play with things that couldn't be touched. You didn't really go into the bedroom, did you? Zhang Xiaowei looked at Su Yu and asked with a frown. I didn't go back in the bedroom, Su Yu denied. Then where were you, and who were you with? You can provide witnesses, and we will collect evidence. Gao Ran looked at Su Yu and continued. Su Yu lowered his head, and his heart was in turmoil. If he didn't explain, it would be troublesome. He would be considered the murderer. If he explained, then Huamin's reputation. Chapter 902. Say something, Lord Su. Wei Liao couldn't stay calm anymore. I can't say. Then you can't prove your innocence. As the owner of this house, there were witnesses who said that you were in your bedroom, and the victim jumped from your bedroom. You're the only one missing from the surveillance footage. Young Master Su, we have reason to believe that you have something to do with this. Please cooperate with us and follow us back to the station for investigation. Gao Ran was a very upright person. Although he was usually joking around, he had a sharp tongue. However, when it came to handling cases, he was swift and decisive. He wouldn't give face to Su Yu just because the other party was Su Yu. He still wanted to do business as usual. Su Yu nodded. Okay, I'll go back with you. You can also investigate what happened. Watching Su Yu follow Gao Ran's car back to the police station, everyone's expression became complicated. I feel like Lord Su is protecting someone. Could it be the real murderer? Tang Chuan said hesitantly. Jiang Xiaowei said coldly, I feel like someone is deliberately framing Su Yu and making him the scapegoat. Wei Liao nodded. I agree, I think so too. Even Zhao Qingya has never entered Lord Su's bedroom. He wouldn't bring a strange woman there. So they don't believe that Su Yu has something to do with this. But where did Lord Su go when he disappeared? Tang Chuan asked. Jiang Xiaowei was silent. Wei Liao was silent. Wei Liao looked at Su Yu's female assistant and waved his hand. When did President Su leave the house? Around 8 p.m. Where did he go? The female assistant shook her head. I don't know, but President Su said that if anyone asked, we should tell them that he went back to his bedroom. Wow. What a coincidence, Tang Chuan sighed. Su Yu wouldn't be so stupid. If he really did it, he wouldn't have taken the initiative to tell others that he was in the bedroom. So, is this a coincidence, or is someone trying to frame you? Tang Chuan continued to ask. We'll have to wait for the police's conclusion. The group of people were worried sick at heart. They were no longer in the mood to stay. The news of Su Yu being taken away and the murder in the Su family's villa spread like wildfire. The reporters who were squatting at the door were worried that they wouldn't have anything to report, but now they had. A life had been lost at once. Therefore, most of the headlines on the second day were, Strange murder case occurred at Star Imperial's President Su's birthday banquet, suspected to be related to him, assisting police in investigation. When the Su family found out, they couldn't sit still. Old Master Su went directly to the police station to bail him out. The police chief was so scared that he wanted to get up and pour tea for him personally. Chief, why are you here? Bureau Chief Liao nodded and bowed. Humph. You arrested my grandson, so of course I have to bail him out. But this matter hasn't been investigated thoroughly yet, Chief. Bureau Chief Liao seemed to be in a difficult position. There were so many pairs of eyes watching, and so many media outlets were paying attention to this matter. If he let Su Yu out directly, he might be scolded by the people for being an idiot. Then can I see my grandson first? Master Lord Su's face was full of anger. Yes, this way please. Bureau Chief Liao led Master Lord Su all the way to the interrogation room. Su Yu was treated well and was drinking tea. Grandpa, why are you here? You little brat, such a big thing happened. How can I not come? Master Lord Su looked at his grandson with heartache. I'm fine. You're still laughing? Tell me the truth, what happened? Master Lord Su asked angrily. Grandpa, it really has nothing to do with me. I don't know that woman, and I've never been to the crime scene. I knew it. You didn't do it, right? Master Lord Su knew his grandson well. If Su Yu said he didn't do it, then he definitely didn't. Did you hear that? It's not my grandson. Hurry up and let him go, Master Lord Su ordered stubbornly. Bureau Chief Liao looked like he was about to cry. Old Chief, don't make it difficult for me, okay? If I find out the truth, I'll definitely let him go. It's okay. I'm not afraid of the investigation. You guys investigate properly. I also want to know who did it. Su Yu was full of confidence. Just then, Gao Ran walked in with some documents. He walked up to Bureau Chief Liao and said, Bureau Chief, the test results are out. The victim took drugs before she died, and the urine test was positive. She wasn't sexually assaulted, but... Continue, Bureau Chief Liao ordered. But there were traces of young Master Su's skin under the victim's fingernails, so... We have reason to believe that the victim was in contact with him, or that he pushed her down the stairs. Are you fucking kidding me? Su Yu was furious when he heard this. He stood up and pointed at Gao Ran. Chapter 903. I'm not joking with you. Director Liao, take a look. This is the test report. Then, Gao Ran handed him the report. Director Liao's expression was serious after reading it. Old chief, this. Director Liao seemed to be in a difficult position. Although he couldn't afford to offend Chief Su, the law was the same as the law. However, if the emperor broke the law, he would be punished the same as the commoners. Moreover, all the media outlets were reporting on this matter. If he publicly bailed Su Yu out, the consequences would be unimaginable. I guarantee with my military rank that my grandson would never do such a thing. Old Master Su was furious as well. He had watched his grandson grow up and had been in the military for so many years. He still had a sense of right and wrong. No matter how much trouble he caused, he wouldn't do such a heinous thing. I know, Chief. I also believe that young Master Su wouldn't. But now that we have evidence, we are in a difficult position. At this moment, Su Yu looked at his grandfather and suddenly said, Grandpa, you should go home first. Old Master Lord Su looked at Su Yu with heartache, as if he had 1,000 things to say. Grandpa, trust me, I didn't do it. I want to get to the bottom of this. I don't want to take the blame for nothing. You should go. I'll stay and continue to cooperate with the investigation. You. Old Master Lord Su looked at his grandson with a frown, extremely conflicted. Su Yu held his grandfather's hand. Trust me. The men of the Su family won't be tripped up so easily. Finally, Old Master Su let out a long sigh. Then he said, Grandpa will wait for you at home. Okay. Finally, Old Master Su drove away. The media went crazy with the news. Some people even posted on forums that Su Yu's murder was proven. The military chief's grandfather went to the police station to negotiate, but to no avail. As soon as this post came out, everyone was in an uproar. Su Yu looked down and carefully recalled everything that happened last night. He vaguely remembered that in the chaos, a woman seemed to have fallen. Then, he reached out his hand like a gentleman. The woman's nails were too long and accidentally scratched the back of his hand. Was the skin shavings from that time? He didn't even see what the woman looked like before he turned around and left. Why would he care if she was Zhao Qingya's sister? Besides, why didn't he know that Zhao Qingya had a younger sister? Was she really trying to take revenge for her sister and frame him? How did a woman without any power do it? First of all, how did she get into the villa without an invitation? A series of questions appeared in Su Yu's mind. He lowered his head and tried to recall what had happened. He was trying to find a breakthrough. Jiang Xiaowei told Hua Min what had happened over the phone. Hua Min listened quietly. Hua Min, do you think Su Yu is the murderer? Jiang Xiaowei asked over the phone. Of course not, Hua Min denied directly. But he did disappear for a while, about 10 minutes or so. Even the surveillance cameras couldn't find him. We asked him, but he wouldn't tell us. Between 8:08 and 8:20, Su Yu didn't explain himself either. We were all confused, Jiang Xiaowei continued to complain. Hua Min's heart sank. That was when she met Su Yu. Of course, the surveillance cameras couldn't see it because Su Yu jumped over the wall. But why didn't Su Yu tell the truth? Was it to protect her reputation? Hua Min fell into deep thought. Hua Min? Jiang Xiaowei called his name twice over the phone. Only then did Hua Min come back to his senses. Ah. Continue. Hua Min, if Zhao Qingya really jumped off the building to frame Su Yu to get revenge, do you think she's capable enough to do it? Do you think she had an accomplice? I'm not sure, the police will have to investigate. Yeah, the Gao Ran has been investigating, and our director is furious. He's made this a top priority. This morning, Chief Su went to bail Su Yu out, but he didn't. The results showed that Su Yu's skin was under the victim's fingernails. He's in big trouble now. How did this happen? Hua Min frowned slightly. He didn't think that things would be so serious. Chapter 904. Uncle Li, why are you here? When Su Yu saw Li Zhongtong, he was quite surprised. He was a famous lawyer in the country, and most importantly, he was the lawyer used by the heads of state in the military region. He had a top law firm in Beijing, and his disciples were all famous lawyers in the country. Your grandfather called me, so I immediately flew over. Li Zhongtong was someone that Lord Su valued very much. Every time he went to Beijing for a meeting, they would definitely drink tea and chat. Now that he was using such a powerful person, he definitely didn't want anything to happen to his grandson. In fact, Lord Su's feelings were understandable. My grandfather is making a big deal out of nothing, haha. Suyu giggled and played dumb. It's a matter of life and death. Do you think it's making a big deal out of nothing? Do you know how serious the crime of premeditated murder is? I know, but I didn't kill anyone. I'm innocent. You're innocent, not with your mouth. We need evidence now, Lawyer Lee said sternly. Uncle Lee, it's not that serious. You're thinking too much. Little brat. You don't know anything. Okay, cut the crap. Answer my questions. Okay. Suyu nodded and didn't dare to be negligent. The victim's name is Zhao Xia, Zhao Qingya's younger sister. Zhao Qingya has been in prison for a while. Outsiders don't know, but her family does. So, she might be taking revenge on purpose, right? It should be, otherwise, she wouldn't have sacrificed her life to frame me. I have no grudge against her. Suyu analyzed. Have you met Zhao Xia before? No, I've never seen her before. Then why is there your dandruff tissue under her fingernails? Lawyer Lee asked slowly as he fiddled with the recording pen. There were a lot of people at the birthday party yesterday, and many of them were female companions brought by the guests. I didn't know any of them. At that time, a girl fell down, and I didn't see her face clearly. When I helped her up, her fingernails were quite long, and she scratched me. I thought it was unintentional, so I didn't pay much attention to it. That might be the only time she had skin contact with me. Yes, your house's surveillance has been tampered with. It's very interesting. There are surveillance cameras outside, but only the ones inside the villa are missing. Also, the surveillance cameras found that you had finally left for more than 10 minutes, but there was no trace of you in any corner. So, where did you go? Uncle Lee, don't ask any more. This question. The police have asked me countless times already. I won't answer. But this question is very important. If you explain it clearly, you might be able to clear your name. No, I can't say. Who are you protecting? Lawyer Lee asked. Suyu reached out his hand and touched the corner of his eye. His expression was complicated. You have to think about it carefully. If someone wants to frame you, this scheme is too meticulous. Maybe the person you're protecting is one of them. Don't be fooled by her. She won't, Uncle Lee. I know her well. Is it a woman? Lawyer Lee asked tentatively. Don't ask any more. Anyways, I won't say anything. I really didn't do anything. I didn't go into the bedroom, I didn't see Zhao Xia, I didn't force her to eat those things, I didn't push her downstairs or anything. Okay, I understand. Uncle Lee. Don't let my grandpa continue investigating. If I don't want to say anything, then it means that it's very important to me. If you want to investigate the person I'm protecting because you want to clear my name, then I won't forgive you. Suyu was actually very worried. Once his grandpa used his power, it was too scary. Hua Min would definitely be found out. If his grandpa found out, it would cause an even bigger commotion. So, Suyu said the ugly things first. Lawyer Lee didn't say anything. He only said, you little brat, you've grown up. You're a real man now. Suyu didn't know if this was a compliment or a derogatory one. He was just worried that his grandpa wouldn't vent his anger on more people. Hua Min was restless the entire day. When he had dinner with Qin Chu, his eyes were also wandering. Honey, what's wrong? Qin Chu put down his chopsticks and asked. Chapter 905. Honey, I want to talk to you about something, Hahab. What is it? Didn't I go to the birthday party yesterday? Suyu's party. I told you about it before. Yeah. I wanted to return the bullet shell to him, but he didn't want it. He said that he wouldn't take back what he gave away. I don't have to use the bullet shell, and I can throw it away, but I don't want to return it. Okay, then just leave it there. Qin Chu didn't think it was necessary to make a big deal out of it since it was just a bullet shell. Then, I snuck out, you know that, right? I didn't want to be a bad influence, so Suyu snuck out to see me. We talked for about 10 minutes, and when I left, it was exactly 8:20 p.m. Honey, what are you trying to say? Chin Chu could tell that Hua Min was beating around the bush, and her gaze was very evasive. So he asked her directly, "Honey, did you know that something happened to Suyu?" "Yes, the whole city is talking about it." Chin Chu nodded and didn't deny it. "Actually, I heard from Jiang Xiaowei that Suyu disappeared from the surveillance cameras, and that's why he's being suspected. He was with me for about 10 minutes and we were talking, so I'm his only witness. So what do you want to do?" Chin Chu's expression became complicated. He seemed to have guessed what his wife was going to say. "Honey, I want to testify for Suyu." "No." Chin Chu refused without hesitation. "Honey, why not?" Hua Min bit her lip and looked at Chin Chu pitifully. "It's simple. If you go, you won't be able to explain yourself. Think about it. What would people think if GK's a young lady was with Suyu at 8 o'clock at night, in a corner where the surveillance cameras can't see? But if I don't testify, he'll be wronged. Jiang Xiaowei said that Suyu didn't want to talk for more than 10 minutes. I guess he wanted to protect me. The more he does this, the more uneasy I feel. I know what I'll face if I testify. But honey, as long as you trust me, I don't care what others say." Hua Min felt that Chin Chu would understand her. However, she had overestimated Chin Chu's heart. After all, Chin Chu loved her deeply. How could he not care about this matter? Especially when that person was Suyu. "Mion, you need to know that with Suyu's family background, he can get away without you being a witness. Do you know who his grandfather hired? Li Zhongtong. Do you know who he is? He's a famous lawyer in Jing City. He's never lost a case." Chin Chu was well aware of this, so he knew that Suyu would be fine. At most, it would be a little troublesome and he'd have to stay at the police station for a few more days. Hua Min put down her chopsticks and looked at Chin Chu seriously. "I know that his grandfather hired a lawyer, and I know that the lawyer is very good. I also know that the Su family won't lose the case. Suyu will be fine." "Then what are you going to do?" Chin Chu was obviously jealous. He thought that Hua Min was too nervous. Was it because she was worried about Suyu? Although he didn't want to think that way, he was still unhappy to see Hua Min so worried about Suyu. "I'm going because I can testify at the police station and get Gao Ran to drop the case. You know how much damage it will do to Suyu's reputation if the case goes to court. But do you know how much damage it will do to you if you go? Is Suyu more important to you than yourself?" Perhaps Chin Chu was angry, so he didn't know what to say. Hua Min was slightly surprised. Then, he looked at Chin Chu with disappointment. "What do you mean by that?" "You know what I mean. Anyways, I won't let you go. I advise you not to do that." After speaking, Chin Chu got up and left the dining table. He went straight upstairs to the study. They hadn't argued in a long time. Now, because of Suyu, they were very unhappy. Hua Min felt like someone poured a bucket of water on his head. Hua Min once saw a particularly good saying on Weibo. "In a man's world, they will always think that if you love me, you won't leave me. In a woman's world, they will always think that if you love me, you will come and find me. So in the end, you didn't ask me to stay, and I didn't turn back." Many lovers were like this. They were so angry that they missed each other for life. Because both of them had different thoughts, Chin Chu felt that Hua Min cared about Suyu and was worried about Suyu, so he was full of jealousy. Hua Min, on the other hand, felt that because of his appearance, Suyu left the surveillance cameras and was suspected. So, he wanted to clarify the matter. He wanted to prove Suyu's innocence. She turned on her phone and logged into Weibo, wanting to write something. But to her surprise, she saw that Suyu had sent her a private message. She slowly opened it, and when she saw what he said, her heart ached. Chapter 906. Because Suyu wrote, "Stupid girl, I know you're a loyal person, so you'll probably feel uneasy when you hear that something happened to me. So I'm reminding you not to come to the police station to testify for me. I'm the son of a wealthy family, so even if I don't need you, I'll still be fine. I'll just be drinking tea at the police station for 2 days. So don't be stupid. Otherwise, when I get out, I'll peel your skin and pull out your tendons." Suyu's words were too Suyu's style. It was ridiculously awesome, and it even contained a threat. It was domineering. However, Hua Min knew all too well that he was still worried about implicating her, so he warned her not to go. But the more he was like this, the more uneasy Hua Min felt. She wasn't Mary Sue, so she wouldn't be overflowing with compassion and want to save everyone. She just saw through the fickleness of human nature over the years, so she knew how to be grateful and know how to repay a drop of water with a spring. Because in this world, no one has the obligation to treat you well without asking for anything in return. She remembered that not long ago, she saw a very popular post on her WeChat moments. Many people want to treat you to dinner at night, but few can buy you breakfast. Many people want to treat you to drinks, but few can take care of you when you're drunk. Many people care about you when you're sick, but few can take you to the doctor and buy you medicine. Many people want to add flowers to your brocade, but few can help you when you're in need. Many people want to pursue you, but few are willing to be responsible for you. Many people talk big, but few can help you when you're in trouble. So we must cherish those friends who are worth cherishing. If Hua Min had never treated Su Yu as a friend before, then at this moment, she was going to break her promise. Because there were really too few friends like Su Yu. Strangers wouldn't protect you without caring about anything. Hua Min felt that if she didn't do anything and continued to pretend to be mute, then watched Su Yu go in and out of the police station, her conscience would be uneasy. She wouldn't be able to sleep well at night. She was silent for a long time, and finally replied to Su Yu. From this moment on, you, Su Yu, are my friend, Hua Min. When he saw the reply, Su Yu was overjoyed. He was as happy as a child who had won first place in an exam. In the middle of the night, he sat on the chair in the interrogation room. It was boring, and he drank pot after pot of tea and coffee. It was said that the police officers would organize the information and start to prosecute him tomorrow before going to court. Although it would take some time, he believed that he would definitely be acquitted. Firstly, it was because she did not do those things. Secondly, it was because Uncle Lee had never lost a lawsuit. It was just a small punishment. Many actresses from Imperial Star were coming to visit, including Jian Tong, Wei Liao, and Tang Chuan. However, Su Yu refused to meet him. The reason was simple. He didn't want to repeat the same thing over and over again. He wouldn't tell them where he went in those 10 minutes. In fact, everyone really wanted to know what and who Su Yu was protecting. When Hua Min returned to the bedroom, Qin Chu was still in the study. She knew that he was angry. Hua Min went in, took a hot shower, and went to bed. Then, she set the alarm and went to sleep. She didn't think she did anything wrong. Qin Chu didn't believe her. He was thinking too much. It was good for him to calm down. Qin Chu didn't come in until it was almost dawn. Looking at Hua Min, who was sleeping soundly, his eyes turned from cold to gentle. Although he was still angry at her, he still thought she was cute when she slept. He couldn't get enough of her. In the study, he smoked a whole pack of cigarettes. He finished all 20 small Russian cigars. He was in a bad mood. However, thinking about it, Hua Min was probably just asking for his opinion. If he didn't agree, she probably wouldn't make the decision. After all, this matter had a huge impact. When Hua Min woke up in the morning, Qin Chu was already gone. There was warm milk and sandwiches on the table. Even if they were in a cold war, he didn't forget to make her breakfast. Hua Min's heart warmed. She finished the milk and drove to the police station. Hua Min, why are you here? Gao Ran was surprised to see Hua Min so early in the morning. Gao Ran, I want to testify for Su Yu, Hua Min said word by word. What did you say? Gao Ran was completely dumbfounded. Chapter 907. Gao Ran. Su Yu refused to say that he disappeared from the surveillance cameras at 8:08 that day because he was with me at that time. With you? Gao Ran was even more surprised. Then, Hua Min roughly explained the entire situation. Gao Ran was completely petrified. It took him a while to react. But, you have no proof. How do you prove that you were outside the mansion at that time? Gao Ran was a police officer, so he was very particular about evidence. I didn't drive that day, so I took a taxi. Because it was rush hour and there was traffic, it wasn't easy to get a taxi. So, I used a taxi app and paid for it. Now, I still have the amount and the driver's phone number in my phone. You can check it. Okay. Hua Min, you're amazing. Gao Ran knew that Hua Min was a very meticulous person. Once he came, he must have thought about a lot of things. So, can you let Su Yu go now? Hua Min asked softly. Gao Ran was silent for a moment and asked back. Hua Min, does Qin Chu know that you're testifying for Su Yu? Hua Min bit his lip and said quietly. He didn't want me to come because he was afraid that my reputation would be damaged and that I would be under a lot of pressure. Then why did you still do it? But this is my bottom line. Gao Ran, I can't just watch Suyu go to court to protect me. I know he won't lose, but once he goes to court, his reputation will be tarnished. We're both human beings. Why should I protect my own interests and let a friend who's trying to protect me go to court? I really can't do that. I, Hua Min, am not a saint. I can't save the world, but I will never let my friend get hurt because of me. I will feel guilty for the rest of my life. After hearing Hua Min's words, Gao Ran nodded in understanding. In fact, Hua Min was a very stubborn person. Once he had decided on something, he would not change his mind easily. Moreover, she was especially unwilling to implicate others, so being able to testify was very much in line with her personality. As for Qin Chu, Gao Ran still felt that the aftermath of this matter could develop very badly. So she asked again worriedly, Hua Min, it's not too late to regret now. I'll pretend that I never saw you. You can leave. Let's go. I still have to go to work after testifying. Time is precious. After speaking, Hua Min took the lead and walked in. Gao Ran knew that he definitely could not stop them. Hua Min made a detailed statement at the police station and provided a lot of details. In the end, after careful consideration, he found that it was reasonable. With Hua Min as a witness, Suyu's name was immediately cleared. Interrogation room. Gao Ran walked in, looked at Suyu and said faintly, Can you go now? Go. Aren't you going to sue me? Suyu asked Gao Ran in return. No, someone is here to testify for you, Gao Ran said as he looked at Suyu with a complicated expression. To be honest, Gao Ran didn't like Suyu. This was because he personally witnessed the love between Qin Chu and Hua Mian in high school. He knew very well how much Qin Chu loved Hua Min, so he didn't want anyone to get involved. Testify for me? Suyu stood up with a whoosh. He had a bad feeling in his heart. Don't look at me like that. Hua Min really did come. You should know that in your heart. She's the only witness. How could she? Suyu frowned. He had threatened her and told her not to come. Why did she still come? This woman was so arrogant that she treated his words like farts. So you're free now. Congratulations, Gao Ran said coldly. Then, he opened the door and left. When Suyu walked out of the police station, a lot of reporters surrounded him. President Su. Do you have anything to say about this case? President Su. Did the police release him? Was it because of the pressure from the Su family? Or because you were cleared of suspicion? Can you tell us more? President Su. Didn't you say you were going to sue? Why did they suddenly release him? Was there a turning point for the better? Did the police find new leads? Can you tell us more? Faced with the swarm of reporters, Suyu's mind went blank. Right now, he only wanted to see one person. Hua Min. He wanted to see her immediately. The feeling was so strong. Without a care, he walked straight into his sports car without saying a word. Dozens of cars came to pick up Suyu. They put his beloved car, the Lamborghini Elemental, at the top of the list. He got into the sports car and drove straight to Southside Recuperation Center. Chapter 908. Hua Min finished his rounds and was about to head back to his office to organize his files. That was when Suyu arrived. He had been at the police station for 48 hours, so he didn't even have time to shave. He looked messy and beautiful. When he saw Hua Min, he strode over. Without saying a word, he grabbed Hua Min's arm. Hua Min jumped in fright. What are you doing? Hua Min was surprised to see Suyu. Shouldn't he go home and tell his family that he was safe? Stupid girl, why did I send you a private message on Weibo last night? Hua Min remained silent. Do you think I'm bullshitting? Suyu asked angrily. Hua Min remained silent. Speak. This was the first time he spoke to her in such a harsh tone because he was really angry. It's my job to be a witness. You didn't intend to commit murder, so why did you have to go to court? Hua Min raised his head and asked Suyu, word for word. I told you, I can take care of it myself. But if you go to court, even if you win, your reputation will be tarnished. I don't want you to be accused of murder for the rest of your life. I don't want people to use this as a joke to make fun of you. But do you know how serious the consequences of doing this are? Do you know what you'll have to face if the police reveal the reason why I'm innocent? You'll be condemned by everyone. Hua-min, are you crazy? Do you think you're God? Why don't you go to heaven? Su-yu was furious. Hua-min stepped forward and helped him, but he put himself in danger. This wasn't what he wanted. What's wrong with that? I don't care what other people think. What about Chin-chu? Will he understand you? Su-yu asked coldly. Hua-min remained silent. Chin-chu had always understood her, but this was the only thing he couldn't understand. You're too impulsive. You're just one step away. As long as I go to court today, I can go home and everything will be over. But I will feel guilty for the rest of my life, Hua-min said word by word. Su-yu was slightly stunned when he heard this. Su-yu, I have my own principles. You don't have to teach me what to do. If I, Hua-min, want to do something, even 10 bulls can't pull me back. On the contrary, if I don't want to do something, even if you chop off my head, I won't be moved. You don't have to be so angry, and you don't have to be moved by me helping you. This is what I should do. I'm that important witness, and you were with me when you were under suspicion. No matter what others say, you didn't kill anyone. You're innocent. And now, I have a clear conscience. Now you can go now. After speaking, Hua-min turned around and walked into her office as if nothing had happened. She slammed the door shut with a loud bang. Su-yu stood at the door, stunned. For a moment, he actually had the urge to hug her fiercely. But he resisted the urge. Hua-min. This name was deeply ingrained in his heart. Hua-min had become a special kind of religion in his heart. This woman was unbelievably arrogant. She had a halo around her that he couldn't extricate himself from. After Su-yu came out, the Public Security Bureau released an official Weibo post. They wrote down Hua-min's testimony in detail, including the location and time of their meeting. They also wrote down the number of Hua-min's taxi driver and the route they took. As soon as this news came out, Weibo, forums, and all the major media outlets immediately blew up. Hua-min was pushed to the center of attention. Her Weibo was flooded by tens of thousands of people. Most of the comments were scolding her, and the one with the most comments was pinned at the top. Shameless woman. She already has Chin-chu, but she still flirted with Su-yu. What a bitch. Hua-min scrolled through her Weibo without batting an eyelid. She was already used to this kind of slander. Moreover, when she went to the police station, she had already expected this kind of ending. At this moment, her phone beeped. She received a WeChat message. She thought it was from Lingling or Xiaowei. However, she didn't expect it to be from Chin-chu. It was just 6 simple words, but it cut Hua-min's heart like a knife. Chin-chu said, "I'm very disappointed in you." Chapter 909. Yes, Chin-chu said that he was disappointed in her, and this sentence was more painful than anything else. She hesitated for a long time before finally replying, "I don't think I did anything wrong." Yes, until now, she still didn't think she did anything wrong. Only by testifying for Su-yu would she not feel guilty and would she feel righteous. After waiting for a long time, Chin-chu still didn't reply. She knew that he was really angry. Before she got off work, Zhu Lingling, Jiang Xiaowei, and the others bombarded her with calls and WeChat messages. She wasn't in the mood to reply. She simply replied with a sentence and then rejected them with the excuse that she needed to see a patient. In the afternoon, she went to the VIP room on the top floor to see Ni Yang. Ni Yang was also paying attention to this incident and even posted on Weibo to support her. However, he lost a lot of fans because everyone thought that he was trying to suck up to a young lady of GK. When they were at the door, Sister Ingzi specifically asked Hua-min to comfort Ni Yang. "Hey, patients aren't allowed to play computer games. Put it down." As soon as Hua-min walked in, she began to lecture Ni Yang. Ni Yang turned around and saw that it was Hua-min. He immediately put down the tablet in his hand. "Oh my! Hua-min, how can you still laugh? The world outside is turning upside down. Am I supposed to cry?" Hua-min walked over and sat down across from Ni Yang. She picked up an orange, peeled it, and handed it to Ni Yang. "Oranges and kiwis are high in vitamin C. Remember to eat more." "Sister Hua-min, you're all over the news right now, do you know that?" "I know. You've been defamed so badly. I went on Weibo to help you and got defamed. A lot of people can't tell right from wrong and turn from fans to haters. Fuck. There are so many idiots who don't know the truth. And Young knew what kind of person Hwamin was, so he stood up for him. You. As a public figure, you shouldn't be so irrational. You even went to argue with your fans. You must be drunk. Hurry up and delete your Weibo. No, I've already said that I'll support you to the end. And Young was resolute. Those people must be scolding you for having bad morals, right? Hwamin asked with a smile. How did you know? Sister, you really can predict things like a god. Just think about it. They must be repeating the same words over and over again. Hwamin was very calm. He peeled another orange for himself and ate it. But what's going on? You're not really having an affair with Suyu, are you? Cough cough. What about our legs? Stinking brat. Do you also think I'm that kind of woman? Of course not. I just think that you might have been touched by Suyu, haha. After all, the song he sang last time, even I was moved. Those in the know all knew that the song was for Hwamin, not Jen Tong. Hwamin licked his lips and didn't say anything else. Forget it. Let's not talk about this. Get ready for the surgery in the next few days. So soon? You've already decided? Yes, we've been preparing for a long time. We're just waiting for the surgeons to arrive. One of them went out of town for a meeting, and we're waiting for him. To make sure that nothing goes wrong, we've assigned 1 surgeon and 3 assistants. That's so grand. It's perfect. And Young was in a good mood and smiled. Of course. You're my little brother. How could I make you worry? So, you need to get well. When you're better, you need to focus on acting and bring glory to GK film and television, okay? Hwamin lovingly patted Yang's head. When Jishin wasn't home, she treated Yang like her own little brother and felt very close to him. Yang nodded. Don't worry, I won't let you down. Also, Hwamin, don't worry about what other people say. Just be yourself. Okay. Hwamin nodded and left the VIP room. When it was time to get off work, Chin Chu still hadn't called. She took out her phone several times and wanted to call him, but she didn't have the courage. She was afraid that Chin Chu wouldn't pick up, or would just hang up. GK Corporation. After Hwamin's negative news broke out, Assistant Yang couldn't stay calm anymore. He saw with his own eyes that his boss's face was as cold as ice. Sir, it's time to get off work. Assistant Yang looked at his watch and carefully reminded him. Chin Chu didn't say anything. He sat in front of his desk with a gloomy expression. Chapter 9-10. You guys can leave now. Chin Chu's voice was cold. It was the first time Yang had seen his boss in such a low mood. He didn't yell at them, he didn't give them orders, and he didn't vent his anger on them. He just sat there quietly, making Yang's heart ache. As soon as a young lady's negative news was exposed, the PR department came over to ask if they should deal with it. But the president didn't answer. She went to help Suyu, so why did GK have to deal with it for her? How could he not be upset? Plus, at a time like this, any PR statement would be a joke. T-City, Jiang Linyue was in a great mood when she saw the news. Haha. God has eyes. Hwamin, I didn't expect you to have such a day. Jiang Linyue was basically exiled from T-City. She didn't even attend the 30-year anniversary. She hated Hwamin to the extreme, so she wanted something to happen to her as soon as possible. She didn't think that she would be slandered so quickly, or rather, she set a trap for herself. It was karma. Jiang Linyue guessed that President Qin must be in a bad mood right now. So, she picked up the company's landline and dialed the president's office. His secretary and assistant had already gotten off work, but Chin Chu was still at the company, so he picked up the phone. Hello. Jiang Linyue was ecstatic when she heard Chin Chu's voice. President Qin. I'm Jiang Linyue. What's up? Chin Chu asked coldly. President Qin. Here's the thing. I'm working overtime at the company, and I ran into a problem that I didn't know how to deal with. I thought you might still be at work, so I called you. Please forgive me if I offended you. Jiang Linyue had always pretended to be a lady in front of Chin Chu, trying to gain his favor. However, she never knew that Chin Chu liked Hwamin, not because Hwamin was a lady. In other words, Hua Min wasn't a lady at all. He just liked her, no matter what she was like, even if she had flaws. Speak. Qin Chu was frustrated. He didn't want to deal with Jiang Linyue, but he didn't want to mix business with personal life. It's like this. Wasn't there a change of people here? A group of employees also left with their former boss. According to the company's usual practice, if they suddenly quit without waiting for us to find a replacement, they won't be paid. But these people are unreasonable and come to the company every day to make trouble. I don't know if I should call the police or what to do. After all, I've never been in charge of something like this before. Settle the bill for them, Qin Chu said faintly. But they are all traitors, the kind that suddenly left the company. They are still employees of the company after all. They should be paid for their work. Okay, President Qin, I'll listen to you. That's all then. Qin Chu was just about to hang up when Jiang Linyue suddenly said, President Qin, wait. What's the matter? Qin Chu was obviously impatient. President Qin, if it's possible, I'd like to return to the corporation. I think the design department is more suitable for me. I don't want to be a boss. I just want to quietly work under you as an employee. Jiang Linyue said pitifully, We'll talk about it later. After speaking, Qin Chu hung up. He really didn't care about Jiang Linyue because his mind was filled with Hua Min. He wanted to go home, he wanted to see her, but he was angry because of her stubbornness. He was very disappointed, but she still did it. She even shamelessly said that she wasn't in the wrong. Qin Chu picked up his phone and looked at it over and over again, but there was no response. After Hua Min got off work, she didn't go back to Imperial Park or South Hill Manor. Instead, she went straight to Sky Blessing Court. After Jixin left, she spent more time with her mother. Mom, I'm so hungry, do you have food? Hua Min asked as soon as she walked in. Yes, but it's probably cold now. I'll heat it up. Thanks, Mom. Because her mother didn't know the internet and didn't read the newspaper, she didn't know what was going on outside. Hua Min thought that home was the quietest place in the world. Just then, her phone rang. She thought it was Qin Chu and immediately picked it up. Hello. Little sister Mion, do you want to come out for a drink? My treat. It was Hua Xiqian's voice. It was also a torturous process for any man who loved Hua Min. If you knew this would happen, why did you still do it? With your brain, you shouldn't have let yourself get stuck in this mess. Hua Xiqian's words were like pearls of wisdom. He put away his usual playful face and spoke in a serious tone. Hua Min picked up the second bottle of Budweiser and drank half of it in one gulp. Then, she shook the other half. She slowly said, Because I'm Hua Min. Hua Xiqian's gaze became deep. A strange light seemed to dance in his eyes. She was right. She was the only one who didn't play by the rules. That was why there was such a unique Hua Min in the world. I thought you wouldn't go against Qin Chu. It's one thing for me to love him, but it's another for me to be a person. There's no conflict. I don't think I disobeyed Qin Chu, I just think it's my way of being a person, that's all, Hua Min said slowly. Since you did it, why do you look so depressed? If I'm not mistaken, you guys fought? Hua Xiqian probed. After hearing this, Hua Min's gaze became slightly lonely. We didn't fight. It would be great if we did, Hua Min slowly said. Then you're in a cold war, right? Hua Xiqian continued to ask. Sometimes, fighting was also a way of communicating. Fighting wasn't scary, but fighting without fighting was scary. A cold war was the scariest way to communicate. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.